Hey everyone, welcome to this special episode, a look back at my podcasting journey. When I started this podcast, it was just an idea, a passion for life coaching and personal growth to help you build powerful habits and inspire you, hopefully, towards achieving your dream goals. The last 3 years have been a time of experimenting and learning and growing in every possible area. And along the way, I've had the privilege of working with some amazing co hosts who made every conversation deeper and more enjoyable. If you are new to my podcast, this is your chance to meet my very first co host, my friend and colleague, Michaela Longden from England. I hope you enjoy it. And to everyone watching, drop a comment. Let Michaela know that we need her back.
So without further ado, I present to you, you can see it already in your screen, Michaela Longzan. Michaela!
Hello! Thank you for having me.
Oh man, I'm so excited about this. Thank you for being part of this new project. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. It's sunny here in Manchester, which is where I'm from. So it's a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, feeling fresh.
Feeling
Fresh.
fresh.
It's that beautiful time, isn't it?
Yeah.
In between summer and autumn, where it's still sunny, still bright,
yes.
but it's a little bit chilly. Not chilly, but like fresh.
It's just perfect, right? What
exactly.
Are you a summer type or a winter type? What type of person?
Oh, summer.
Summer type.
Winter's too cold. Yeah. It's too cold for me, and I get rainouts, so everything just freezes.
All right. Yeah, I know. I'm a fall type. I like autumn. I mean, I
autumn's like beautiful.
You know, the colors, the air smells different, and the light is different and whatnot. So yeah.
It's just the rain. Just the rain in the UK. Just the rain.
Did you got rain?
I mean, not today, but we have pretty much every day the past few days. So yeah, today's a good day.
I mean, we got rain last night after many weeks without rain.
Oh,
and very hot summer. We got a very good amount of rain, and over the next few days is gonna be raining. So
sometimes you need that though, don't you? To refresh, you need the rain. So yeah, really. It's not always a negative thing.
Yeah. Well, Michaela, please. I mean, I could say a lot of things about you, but I will let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, so my audience, they get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So I am an actress first and foremost. That is my main profession. I tend to do a lot of horror films, comedy as well. I've done a few bits and bobs on TV and whatnot. But in the recent years, I have moved towards coaching.
Okay.
So I guess you could say that I was always interested in people. Being an actress, you're always interested in people and how they work and their behaviors, the way that they think. Obviously, that is something, the psychology of a human to every actor is like fundamental for us to get under their skin, the character's skin. So I've always been interested in that. But I would say pre-lockdown, so I'm an acting coach as well. I do acting lessons, and I was absorbing so much material, so many books by some incredible authors, like Tony Robbins, Craig Beck, all these speakers that you really admire. And it was starting to intertwine in my teaching because I noticed something with actors. I noticed that it didn't matter if their technique was incredible. It didn't actually matter if in the room with me or in front of their peers, their technique was, on top.
Flawless.
Flawless. Exactly. If they did not get a grasp of their mindset, they were going to sabotage. They were going to self-sabotage in that room if their mindset is programmed that way.
Okay.
You know, if they've got some beliefs that need changing to do with, you know, I'm deep down, I don't feel like I'm good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I've got imposter syndrome, all those things attribute to you thinking, you know, I'm not going to do well in this because I don't deserve it. So if on a subconscious level, they're believing that, they are going to self-sabotage in that room, the nerves are going to take over. And as we know about the brain, it's going to get hijacked, you know? So that inspired me as I started intertwining some of this stuff into my lessons. I started to get a lot of my clients asking to just talk about mindset. And I wasn't qualified, I wasn't trained, and you know, I'm not saying that to be an amazing coach you have to be, but what I am saying is that I started to notice that people in this area were looking for something that could help them with that.
Okay.
And I decided to do a coaching course from that. I mean, why I got into the whole mindset stuff is completely different. It isn't really related to acting. It's because I went through a bit of a hard time myself, where I was suffering with PTSD, anxiety, and things like that. And that was something that I utilized to overcome it, because the waiting list for therapy in the UK is just astronomical.
Is that the same in Germany? Is awful. I mean, you can, the waiting list is like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got the letter about 10 months scheduling my first appointment. Bearing in mind, it took me about 5 months to even go to the doctor and accept I had an issue, because acceptance is the hardest thing, isn't it?
Wow.
Because mine was based on something that happened to me. It wasn't something that you know, like I didn't wake up every morning with anxiety. It wasn't something innate in me that had been innate in me for years. It was circumstantial. So for me to accept the events and what had happened, that was a pivotal moment in itself, and that took 5 months. And then being put on the waiting list, you know, that literally took forever. So by the time I got my first counseling session, I was already kind of feeling like I'd overcome a lot of it myself, because I refused to sit in that pain.
You were already on your way out, you know, on your way to the healing.
Yeah, I mean, I had to. And this is the thing, isn't it, about change? You have to have enough leverage to change. And I was at that point where I was like, if I do not implement a strategy now, if I do not start making moves now, I'm going to sit in this place of regression, of in the past, in self-torment, and I'm not going to move, and I'm not going to be the person that I want to be. And I had to remind myself of who I wanted to be, where I wanted to go, and why it was important to make those moves. So that's why I started to immerse myself in all this learning, which ultimately shaped me and changed and transformed me. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of energy. I was listening to audio books 2 hours a day.
That was my next question. I mean, what kind of things, I mean, in the future we're going to go deep into this type of subjects, but if you can tell us, what did you do during this waiting time? I mean, the audiobooks, what else did you do?
So it's not just about the learning, it's about implementing the learning, right?
Right.
So it's really trying to become aware of the way that you're thinking, and the way that links to your behavior. So a lot of the books that I was reading, so I was listening to an audio book. There was a 45-minute walk to work, because I was working as a receptionist in school at the time, and I could catch public transport, but I loved walking. I find that it grounds me. I love it. I'm a weirdo. I'll walk in the rain and everything. And it was 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. And I said to myself, right, I'm listening to an audio book, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. So that was an hour and a half. And then I only needed to catch up on like another half an hour. And I'd do that normally before bed to kind of help me switch off. So I started doing that basically every day, 5 days a week. And that helped. And then it was about cementing the learning. So really going in deep and accepting some quite tragic things in terms of the way I thought about myself, in terms of my past. So implementing the learning, and that's the hardest part. Like, we all read the books. Well, many of us do. And I suppose many of you who are tuning in today, if you've tuned into this channel, I suppose you're similar minded, and you know, you read and you're interested in this stuff, but it's the implementation that's the hard part, and catching yourself when you're doing behaviors that are not beneficial for you. That's the hard part. So practicing being present,
Yeah.
mindfulness, all that stuff starts to become really, really useful.
Right.
Meditation, yoga, all this to kind of stop the mind. Because I was in stress.
So you
my
were
cortisol was high.
you were very proactive, you know. I mean, you were not just waiting for someone to help you, but you know, you did something about it, and here you are. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself is a mindset that I have been lucky enough to have all my life. Like, I didn't grow up, you know, my mum was a single parent. It was just me, my mum, my sister. And my mum struggled and life was hard. You know, we were never told that life was easy. We were always told that life was bloody hard, you know. And when you get out there, you're going to realize, and I'm realizing now, you know, like we lived off hand-me-downs, and you know, it was tough. It was tough. So I suppose I always knew innately, if I was going to make a change, if I didn't want this life, I had to be the one to enforce it. And even as a kid, you know, I worked hard. I had this like kind of attitude that I needed to work hard to get what I wanted, which was not this that I saw in front of me. And my mum always said something. She said, Michaela, you've got to have some get up and go in you. You've got to just do it. And she said that to me. And it's ironic, actually, because at the time I remember thinking, you don't have that attitude, because she lived in fear, bless her little heart out. But I suppose some of those things that my mum said to me back then instilled a belief that if something was going to happen, I needed to be the one to do it. And so that was something that was already ingrained in me. Like, I didn't really need to work as such into getting motivated. I was already quite like motivated. But obviously when you are feeling down, the problem is your motivation goes down with it. So you have to remind yourself of that.
But that's just so key. It's so important, you know, because I mean, I've learned. Tell me what you think about this. You know, I've learned that no one can motivate us except ourselves. I mean, we can get help, we can get tools, we can learn material and things like that. But if it doesn't come from within, you know, that willingness, you know, and of course it's tough, but I do agree with that. You know, I mean, I could have here the best coaches in the world around me, but if I don't want to, you know, if there is not that portion of willingness, like I need to do something about it, I need to go get it, you know, then it won't function. What do you think about that?
I agree with you in terms of we have to find the reason innate in us of why things have to change.
Okay.
Why can you not go on living like that? But however, I do believe others can impact you. So humans will do, most of us will do so much more for the ones we love than what we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, if we will, I don't have children myself, but I watch my sister and her children come first. Like, she would lay on the floor and let people tread all over if it meant that they were happy, right? And she wouldn't do it for any other reason, and she certainly wouldn't do it for herself. Like, so
that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Exactly. So sometimes, and I use this actually with my auditions. I think about the lives of people who I'm gonna change, who I'm gonna help, which is always my family. I always think about, you know, if I get this role, if I get this part, I'll be able to help the people who raised me, who supported me, my sister, who came from nothing, and I'll be able to give them the life that they deserve. And that takes the emphasis away from me and it puts it on them, and then something remarkable happens. You find it within you. So it's like what you said, you do find it within you to do what is necessary to help those you love. So it's an interesting thing. Yes, you have to find that within you, and it can come from like your need, your want, your realization that not doing it is going to be worse than doing it. Like, that's the biggest realization. Not changing is going to be worse than changing and failing, because that's what most people are scared of, changing and failing.
Yes.
Yeah, or it's about the people around you. And, you know, if I don't do this, my kid is going to live off hand-me-downs for the rest of their life. Or, you know, I'm not going to have food to feed my kids. Or if I keep living this way, I'm not going to, like, say if I'm bigger than what I want to be, and it's creating health concerns, I might not be around to watch my child get married, you know, like, so then it starts to change. Then you're like, okay, right, if I don't take a hold of my health, I'm not going to see my kid's wedding. That changes things in your brain, because ultimately now we have to make the changes.
Right. You know, it's beautiful what you're saying, because it is true. You know, I mean, there are internal motivations and triggers, and external, you know, like your kids and the love for your loved ones, you know, and then of course, like you say, you know, like, well, am I harming myself? Do I want to better my life? You know, for whatever reason. So it's a perfect symbiosis. Is that a word? Symbiosis, a perfect combination of things. You know, you know, we need to. I mean, I have kids, so I know I can relate to what you're saying. I need to think about them before I think about me, and at the same time, I need to think about me, because if I'm not well, I cannot serve them.
Of course.
That's so interesting.
And then that brings you on to another thing, isn't it? Because when we put others before ourselves and our own innate needs, then there's a belief system there that needs to change, that others are more important, or that we don't believe in order for others to be happy, we have to suffer. You know, there's something there that's not aligned, which means, you know, you have to do kind of the inner work on what your core belief systems are, and how you can kind of navigate that and change that. Because ultimately, if you don't show up for you, how can you show up for anyone else? Because if you show up all the time for others, that leads to resentment, because you're not showing up for you. Which obviously leads to a lot of other things that we need to be careful of.
You know, I announced this new series on my channel last week, or a few days ago, and I got really good feedback. You know, it seems that there are a lot of people out there that need a help, that need a helping hand. You know, and like you said, you know, maybe some of them are on the waiting list. You know, to talk to a professional of X, Y kind. And as I announced this project, you know, we are professional life coaches, and of course we need to work within that frame, and we do it gladly. But I noticed on that feedback, you know, I mean, a lot of excitement, a lot of people were telling me, you know what, I'm looking forward to this. So I'm excited that, I mean, we can go on, we can go for hours, you know.
Yeah, we could. We really could.
Yeah, I know.
And we will.
And we will. That's right. That's right. So stay, subscribe or whatever, you know, so we can, so you can.
Yeah, we're coaches. We're not like pro online. We're like, subscribe, press a button.
Yeah, so do what you have to do. If you like what we do, you know, come back next week.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing, and I'm so glad that people are going to find it useful, because of course, potential hard times are upon us, you know, for everybody. But I think fundamentally we all need a helping hand.
Right.
All of us, no matter where we are in life, it's nice to have some kind of support there, and someone who can relate or help you in any way. And if we help a handful of people, we've done our jobs.
So you know, I'm just so glad. I mean, ever since I mean, how long do we know each other? I mean, virtually know each other. We haven't really you know, face to face.
Is it like 2 years? Yeah, we've never met.
I know. I mean, just virtually, right? I mean, we just from the get go. I mean, we connected, and here we are. You know, in this new project, and I'm very excited. That you know, I mean, because you're going to bring into this an expertise that would complement what I do, and hopefully through that we can you know, help some people out there. You know,
absolutely,
so, and I'm going to include your social how do you call that? Your network,
Social.
your
Yep,
Instagram and Facebook,
absolutely.
whatever. Everything it will be included in the video description.
Most
So
of it you can find on Michaela Longdon anyway.
you
So
can
my
find her.
Instagram is
Right,
there, my Twitter is there, and my
right.
YouTube channel, which is in development. So I'll be doing a similar thing to Armando and
Mm-hmm.
creating a performance empowerment coaching YouTube
Right.
channel. Where Armando will be my guest, and we get to grill him
Oh
and
my
all
goodness.
of his knowledge,
Oh my goodness.
which I'm really looking forward to. I can't wait
Oh
to see.
man, I'm so excited because yeah, you have great projects on the pipeline. Is that the way you say it, Ryan? And on the
Yeah,
in the pipeline, on the pipeline, in the pipeline, pipeline.
yeah.
And we talked offline. You know, we talked about those. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, um, anything else you want to add today before we finish our first intro session, Michaela?
Just thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this series. Yeah, like audience interaction as well. Like if there's anything that you want us to talk about or anything
Yes.
that's coming up for you, like that would be useful for us to know. And we can include that in our sessions. So
That's
yeah.
right. Great point. I mean, just send your questions, your comments, you know, topics that you would like us to touch, and we'll do our best, right, Michaela?
Yes, absolutely.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you very much
Thank you.
for being here, Michaela. Stay tuned. Until then, I wish you a successful and blessed day. Stay
Blessed
healthy.
day.
Bye-bye. I got it.
Amazing. I was
All
like,
right.
oh, was that my meeting or yours?
I know. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon for you, Michaela. Welcome.
Yes, just about. Well, yeah, 12:30 in the UK
Right.
at the moment.
That's right. And welcome everyone to our live talk session today. And yeah, we're happy to have you here. And of course, Michaela is back.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah,
It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. The pleasure is ours. Michaela, let's get going because we have a lot to cover today. And I know. And first of all, I mean, I had a lot of good reactions to our very last first session, or our very first session, which was our last. And I'll send it to you per email because some of them are very long. So I'll just mention a few of them that are very lovely, very nice, and encouraging for us. Would you like to hear?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit nervous.
Well, I have Brita and Josie. She said the duo is great and flashing from the screen. And Michaela is a good co-host and she is lovely. Great part two. So because I did an intro and then so this was our first together. A great part two, and yes, the timing was successful. So
beautiful. Thank you.
Sekani said, "You guys have great vibes. Michaela is gorgeous." And
thank you very much. I will take that.
Michaela is all right. Implementation has always been an issue for me too. I'm looking forward to learning so much from you both. Viti Cell, I think she's in Japan or in the Philippines. Oh, wow. I mean, I just mentioned one part of her comment. This is good. I'm late to the party because she didn't watch the video on that day, but a couple of days later, and she said, "I'm late to the party, but I'm glad to watch the video." Honestly, I don't really like watching videos, but this one I watch because I think this is a really great topic. Like everyone can relate or can be of help. Great discussion there. I keep agreeing on some points to keep it up. Yeah, so that's nice. Here,
Yeah, really great discussion. And there are some questions too for us. That I mean, we won't be able to cover today, but we will. Great discussion. I'm looking forward to the next one here. It looked like you guys were enjoying the session too. I think we
Which we
were.
do, yeah.
The vibe was really great. And then one question, I'll read this question. One question is, one question I did have, that is my path to fire. This is his question. My path to fire says, normally I would say we should follow our passions, but perhaps we are in a very comfortable position with something, say a job, but it is not satisfying. What should we do here to align with our feelings and goals? I think we will partially touch that subject today, but that's
I think
nice.
a lot of people sit in that kind of thing of, okay, this job, it's not my passion, but it pays the bills, and
Pays the bills.
it makes me feel kind of content.
Yeah.
I guess you have to think about, well, is your reason and your passion for something more or something more aligned with where you see yourself strong enough for you to make the change, and do you want to make the change right now? I guess those are some of the questions that I would probably ask that person. What do you see for your future? What do you want, and what do you currently have?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. I mean,
huge topic that is. 'Cause a lot of people sit in it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, and also so multifaceted. Is that a word? There's many sides to that thing, or many factors involved also, right?
Absolutely, like family, whether you've got kids to support, pressure from the wife.
Right.
You stay in your job. We need to pay the mortgage.
We had to pay the mortgage. So my path to fire, we will start today, I believe, with that. And Michaela just mentioned a few things, so that's right. And then I have another comment. Defluence says, you can add me to the tags, or to inform me when, tag me, or to inform me when the next video is out. So we will, Defluence. And he or she say, I don't know if he's a he or a she, and could honestly use, I could use a little coaching myself. Okay, maybe not a little, maybe a lot. So that's good.
I think we all utilize it. You know what I mean? We all could do with it.
And then we have Dira with 3 A's at the end. I mean, she wrote this huge thing. I'll send it to you per email.
Yes.
And
I would love that.
It's an honor to meet you, Michaela, and admire your achievements. And then she posed a very, very complex and long question, which will be too hard to deal with it right now. But we will, Dira. And I just want to mention something you also said. I hope I did not bubble, and now you didn't. My mind was thrown into a frenzy after I finished watching. And thank you so much, AC Galarza, for this project. It means a lot to me, to myself. So yeah, we're happy, and I'm just so happy that Michaela is coming with us into this journey. So
well, I'm really happy to be there and to know that it's it's helping people, or people are enjoying the content, and it's spurring them into thinking and sending their mind into a frenzy. I love that line.
That's right.
Is beautiful, and it means, and I think I said this to you the other day or earlier, and it doesn't matter what the outcome is of this, as long as that we're affecting people, no matter how big or small, in a positive way, and help him in whatever way we can.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a great feeling to see that some people are reacting. And well, let us start with. I have a topic today that touches some of these things that people have mentioned. And if you are for our viewers, I mean, I'm going to leave Michaela's contact information in the description. So if you want to get in touch with Michaela, you can do that. And also, if follow her in all of her social network nets platforms. Follow her.
We're not very good at this, are we? This is the bit we're not good at. We coach people. We don't do online stuff.
Just follow Michaela, and if you want
media.
to, right? And if you want us to inform you, do whatever you need to do. Press the bell or send a comment, and we will inform you when the next episode is out. And please, Michaela mentioned that last time. Send us your comments and your questions.
Absolutely.
And but the one thing that I wanted to touch with you, and I'm eager to hear your opinion on this. I wanted to talk about values, and it goes back to what my path to fire says in regard to that dilemma. My passion is somewhere else, but I have maybe maybe not. I know that's an example. I don't know if that's his or his situation particularly, but like you said, many people are in that situation, right? This job pays the bills, and maybe it pays really well for the bills, and it's a tough decision, to make that change and adventure into a new area, into a new arena, and maybe get retrained and start from zero and whatnot, the risks that involved in that change. And that's a tough one. But I believe, and this is my thesis. I'm gonna expose my thesis, and then I would like to hear what you think. Okay, and then we can go from there. I believe. I once read a book that and this is To Do, Doing, Done. That's the book, right? And for me, it was a life-changing book. It wasn't a huge book, but it has to do with time management and many other subjects. And for me, it was an opener. But the one central point of this book was that our values are very important, because our values will tell us. I have the quote here in German. I forgot to print it in English, but I say the one key sentence is this: your values tells us why we get up every day.
Yeah.
So our what we value, will tell me, will dictate, will guide me to make the right decision as of what to eat, who I marry, what neighborhood, what city I choose to live, even what job to take or not to take, what to study or not study, and so forth and so on. Meaning that the central part of the whole situation, the key part of the whole dilemma, is what do we value in life? And I believe most people, not most people, everyone, we all have values. We all have things we value. Our values, your values might be a little different than my values, but we all have values. The problem, I believe, is that most people are not aware of those values. They don't know what they value. They kind of like go through the motion of life, but they don't really know what they believe or why they do what they do. They just do. They just react. Only in very extreme situations they stop and think, well, what should I do and why? And they start to consider these different factors. But at the core, as the foundation for everything we do, how we spend our money, what job what job we do or accept or not accept, and so on and so forth. Everything is based on that, our values. So my thesis is for a good start, we should identify what we value. And if we can answer that question, very, very consciously and this is in my experience, as you know, I taught students. I mean, I forgot to tell you that I was a teacher for 3 or 4 years, teaching ethics in school, ethics and values in a school. And for me, it was so interesting to see how many young people are not aware of these things. You know, so
well, with
this is
with
what I
that,
think. What do you think?
Let me just touch on that, because how would you define what a value is then?
How do I define value?
Yeah. So what is your definition of what a value is? Because some people might be watching and thinking, well, what actually is it? Because you know, like what is what?
That's a great question, and that's at the very everyone begins with that. That's great. So this is I know there's a pattern. I know what that is. I mean, it's in the name. What is the value? What are my values?
Yeah, but we all have our own interpretation of what that means, right?
Well,
so when we're talking about it now, so
well, let me tell you.
people-
What is your definition of values? I'll tell you. Mine is this. You know, everything you value practically. What's
yeah,
important?
I think what I'm wondering is that, so when I think of my values, I think of like my main ones being my family.
All
You
right.
know, I value my family. I value my time. I value food. I value helping people. So these are
Right.
just some of mine, right?
That's great.
And then when I think about the values that I actually live by, and that causes me a little bit of, are they really my values? Because those are what I think the values are. But really, I want to see my family more. I want to have more time. I definitely do help people a lot, so I'm doing that one. And I eat well. So some of them, you know, I eat very well. I like my food.
Hey,
So
we
some
have to
of them,
enjoy life, huh? Right?
we have to, right? Maybe I'm doing it too much. But
No.
yeah, so some of the values I'm you know, living by that, and then some values that I believe mean so much to me are escaping from me, and I'm not living by them. So then that poses the question of,
Yeah.
well, so I know what a value is, and as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking of my values, and then I thought, well, are those really my values, or is it just that I'm not prioritizing the values that I need to prioritize?
Well, that's an answer that the only you can give. I mean, I can tell you what I from my experience, my personal experience, and my experience in coaching other people, or my experience in the classroom with young people, is that some values we adopt, some values we inherit, so to speak. Like we got it from our families and or our environment or whatever.
Now, is that a value or is that a belief?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't believe we can talk about principles, beliefs, and values. And somehow they are maybe like intertwined. So it's hard to make a cut and dry separation, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's why I start with a value. What do you believe? What do you value in life? We go into we could philosophize about it. So like, why do I value that? Why do I follow this? And that's my whole purpose with the thing. And this process, it could be painful for some people, and for some other people maybe long. For some people maybe a little not, a little shorter the process, because I believe independently of how we defined it, I believe the problem, the core of the problem for most people comes because we have them. Independently of what definition we give to a value, right? But we have them, and this in our values is like a guiding compass. We want to find the north in our life, so to speak, right? Which way do I want to go, right? So and we guide ourselves with our values. I'm honest, and this is my definition of honest. It might be a little different than yours, but honesty is important to me. So and that's why I don't steal. That's why I always say the truth. and so forth and so on, right? So it's like a guiding compass, so to speak, right? But the problem is when we don't live according to the values, meaning I believe honesty is important, but I lie. You know what I'm saying? I believe, or maybe like, I believe being on time is important,
But I'm late.
but I am always late. And I believe that's where the problem resides, not living according to that, to whatever you value in life, like I
Or
said,
when I suppose the constraints of society challenge what value you have and try and put a more socially accepted value onto you instead.
that's right.
Right.
And there are many factors,
And then that causes an internal conflict, right? So society says, especially with COVID, this is just one that I'm thinking of. A lot of
Right.
people who are self-employed really struggled, myself included,
Mhm.
because there wasn't a lot of support for people who were self-employed.
Yeah.
So many of those people went and, started working the 9 to 5 because the government kind of rewarded, I'm not saying that everyone was rewarded,
I know.
but I am saying that it was made very, very clear that the people who were in the system and working in that way,
Right.
they were kind of like, yeah, you're doing the positive thing, and the people who were going against it were the ones that were kind of reprimanded and left kind of to fend for themselves. Not everyone, but a lot of people that I know. So it's that whole thing of, like what the person said in the comments. I have got this desire and I want to leave, but society is saying, make good money, do the 9 to 5, work the rat race, do what you're supposed to do, because you've got to provide for your family and you've got to do X, Y, Z so that you adhere to all these social norms. And you should reject what your gut is saying, reject what your values are and what you value and the thing that you want to do in your life and where you see that, because actually we live in a society and there are rules to be followed. And then when that happens, you're not listening to your gut or your instinct anymore, or your impulse. You're listening to what somebody else or what a few people
It's
are
expecting
saying
from you, right?
Yeah. And then that's, I suppose, causes that internal conflict, right?
I think you're. I mean, it's huge. But I think you're right on. A very simple example that we can all relate to is peer pressure.
Yeah.
As teenagers, right? What kind of we adapt to our environment, whether or not we want to, but somehow I want to belong, so to speak. I want to
fit in.
I want to fit in.
As we innately as humans, that is one basic need that we need to fit in. We don't want to be the black sheep. We don't want to be the outcast.
Right.
And so in order to do that, we have to conform, right?
Right. But I think that's the problem. You just mentioned that, one example that is at the heart of the whole thing. Like what do we want? Do we want to fit? I need to fit, or do I want to fit? People, I mean, we cannot break free, right? I mean, it will cost.
Who says it will cost? Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like, so what if I go against it? Then what? And we're fed fear, aren't we? That's what we're fed. We're fed, you go against the grain and something disastrous is going to happen. And it automatically, our body, we want to survive, and we like things that are certain. We like certainty. So we like the fact that we get the money in the bank every Friday. We like the fact that our friends like us and they invite us around for dinner. And then, when we throw in this kind of idea of, actually, I want to try something different, and it goes against that certainty, we've got a lot of uncertainty, which creates fear. And then that, alongside the social graces that we have to adhere to, that might go against us if we do the thing. There's a lot of fear, and that prevents us from making necessary change that is inspired by something that is innately within our heart.
Yeah.
How do we get past that? Like,
Well,
can we? Should we?
Well, I mean, there has been times in my life when I wasn't, or I wasn't aware, I was not true to my values. That I betray my one value at the time. Not all of my values at the time, but in a particular situation. And it's hard. I mean, I think it's so hard because in very deep inside at the moment, it's like, well, I knew I was betraying my value. I knew I was doing something wrong, because I wasn't congruent with myself, right? So my mouth says something about, in reality, I was doing something else. And I think that's painful for the person that is in that situation, right? So again, like many factors involved. Some people want to be free. Some people can't, or do not know how.
And when you have those like incongruences inside of you, it really brings up a lot of attention to who are you? What do you stand for? Who am I? Right. And that's why people have these kind of like identity crises, because they feel that they're living a life that isn't coherent with who they believe they are. What's the quote? Make your own plan or be part of someone else's.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So I guess it really is about finding out what stimulates you, what gets you moving, what gets you motivated, what makes you feel empowered, what makes you feel full of life. And that's what values are. They're like things that really make me feel like I'm living my best life. Like in the end, when I'm on my deathbed, I'll look back and hopefully I won't regret the walks and the hikes that I took because I love nature. I won't regret the time that I spent with my family and my friends, but will I regret, the time I spent working in a job I hated 50 hours a week? Will I regret the time that it took me away from the people that matter? So I guess you have to think at what cost. So I've got this value. This value is innate in me, but I'm working against it. And because I'm working against it, I feel incongruent with myself, but I feel congruent with society. But when I look back on my life, as far as we know, we only get one shot.
Right.
Am I going to be thinking I should have done it different? Because for me, that would be the worst. That would be the moment that I would hate to happen.
Then we do agree. It is important to identify this value, right? What is important to you, to us, to each one of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. I mean, you mentioned already a few, but can you tell me really quick what do you value in life? Tell me 5 things you value in life.
I
value without priority order.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. So family. And friends. Family and friends come into one for me because my family are my friends, and my friends are my family. So for me, they're a shared one. Health and well-being. Serving others. I value. I value believing that I am working with integrity. Because if I don't feel like I'm working with integrity, then I'll doubt every decision I ever make. So integrity is really important to me. And what else do I value? I value... oh God, this is hard, isn't it? Because there's just so many. Okay, so let's just say I value like enjoyment. And love. Let's say love.
Okay, that's great. But don't worry. It's every time I do this exercise, a lot of people have to stop and think a little bit. The first 3 or 4 they come really quick, and they are usually family and things like that. But then later on, these people, we all, I mean, me too. We at the beginning, I started struggling with what do I value?
Well, the interesting thing was like certain things were coming up for me. but they were things that I thought I should say, not things that were innate in me.
Right.
So for example, and this is going to sound awful, but I'm just going to say it because I'm human. I thought, right, I value charity, and I was like, but probably isn't in my top 5. Like I don't give every day, like, but it was and then I was like, so is that coming from a place of something that I feel like I should say? And then I started thinking, oh, well, serving others is, I suppose, I don't mean in a paid way. I mean in just in general, I suppose that's charity in itself. So you have all these kind of exactly what we just talked about, right? The things that you feel like you should say, and the things that are innately in you in this conflict.
I know. That's what I mean. It's huge. I mean, it's unfair, but that's why I mentioned at the beginning. This is just like a little taste of what it is, because it could be a painful. For some people, it's painful, and for some people, it's just complex in the sense. Well, I need to sit down and take it apart and really, because at the end, what I try to do with people is, I try to help them to identify the 8 most powerful or most important values. The 8 things that they, like, if you don't have those things, you cannot live at the end.
See, saying that now I'm thinking of like purpose, right? That would be like a big one for me, and to kind of open that kind of worms. But it it is interesting. Like, so 8 values, there's just too many. I need more than 8.
I know. So we won't be able to do it right now, but I would like to encourage our viewers and to write down, to identify as many values as possible, and take your time. I usually say, find the right time of the day, when you are relaxed, when you are not under stress, get a cup of coffee, a cup of cocoa or tea, whatever, and find the right corner in your house, put maybe like a nice scent candle, nice relaxing music, whatever, and try to find as many values as possible. And later on, if you want to, you can try to reduce them to the maybe like the 10 or the 15 most important out of those, and then set priorities. What is the number 1? And that is, you cannot, and 8 that you will not trade for anything. I mean, this one you can maybe like, okay, you live without it, and but these 8, I will be no. This is for me. No, I cannot betray these values, and then we'll start with that. What do you think? Does that sound, Michaela? Is that like a good start?
I think that's a great start. Yeah, I think you could go further. I think they could do the next step. I'm like, what next?
What's next? Well,
so I've got my values. Now what do I do?
I believe it takes time to really identify. Well, no, let me tell you this. When you do that, then describe them to you. I mean, not just the name. For example, honesty. That's a good one. Thank you for mentioning, Michaela. I mean, once you identify the 8 and you order in them in priorities 1 through 8, then I would say describe them to yourself.
In a way that how that makes you feel.
Right. Well, in the way you aspire them to be and to live up to them. Okay. I mean, not the way they are right now, but the way you aspire. For example, family is important to me, and maybe you have a perfect family right now, but well, I aspire to something more. The way we live, how we talk to each other, what we do together, and so forth. Right, so that perfect image, as you imagine that in your heart and in your mind, in that way describe it, because that is your goal, that is what you want to go. So that will be and this process could take a long time, but it's worth trying to do that. That would be my advice. What do you would you like to say before we depart? What do you think? What do you a last word of wisdom and encouragement for our viewers, Michaela?
I guess for me, this is going to be really interesting to see how well I'm adhering to my own values. I think I'm already thinking now, okay, I've got some pretty high, some things that are really high up on my value chart, but my life isn't actually in alignment with them. And it's something that I'm working on at the moment, because I think it links quite heavily with boundaries and the boundaries that you have in terms. So for myself, the boundaries I have with my work life, the boundaries that I have with my social life, my family life, my love life, all these different, and then my me time life, and how boundaries, and if you are not careful and you allow your boundaries to become less rigid, certain things can get in the way. You can allow certain things. So my work life can often be allowed into my personal time. Because that boundary isn't in place. But really, I need that personal time because my value is family and friends. So what boundaries can I put in place now in order to stay truthful to my values, which will lead me to be happier, which will allow me to show up for the people around me, and ultimately have a much more peaceful and more welcomed life, a life that I want rather than a life that I feel like I'm chasing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean,
or he's chasing me.
No, that's a great reflection. I mean, I think you are right on, because I believe, like you just described it perfectly. I mean, I believe that's the end goal with that, to find that balance and to find that congruency and to find that peace, that joy, like, well, I'm not living anything. I'm living what is important. I'm enjoying what is important to me. I'm not missing. I'm not missing anything.
But we can feel pulled and pushed from the different things in our life, right? So it's really hard to stay aligned when you've got so much dragging you here and so much dragging you there, and remaining aware of your values. And I guess we don't even bring that up. So it's great that you've covered this topic today, because remaining aware of them reminds yourself of why it's important that you keep those boundaries in place and that you behave in the way that you need to. Because the impact of values, which we've not really spoke too much of today, can be really like quite huge over your entire life, right?
I think so. I mean, I think our time is almost. I'm looking at the clock right here, but I would say this it's very powerful. But values help us because if we live according to our values, we are able to say no to things that are not valuable, so to speak.
In place a boundary,
right? And then we'll be able to say yes to that which is truly important.
I mean, that's a topic in itself as well, isn't it? How to say no.
To
say yes, to say yes with the belief, yes, keep myself open to opportunities, and how to say no. That's a completely different conversation, which I'm sure we will explore.
We will explore in the future. We will do that. Michaela, it was again, time flew back, but it was great. I know.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back next week. So to all our viewers, have a great good day, a great weekend, and send us your comments. Michaela, have a good one.
See you later.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Life Talk. Today we're going to explore the wonderful and great and interesting and relevant subject of mindset. Who better to help us with that than our very own Michaela? Yeah, that's right. After a couple of weeks vacation time and break, she's going to join us again to lead us explore this subject. So, let's get started.
Michaela, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
It's been a couple of weeks since our last
been a couple of
live
weeks.
talk, but you are here again. How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Feeling all right.
Feeling all right.
Had a nice little holiday, which was lovely and very much needed.
Yes.
And yeah, it's been a week of reflection and taking some time out. So that's been good too.
Oh, wow.
How are you?
That's interesting. Reflection. I'll go back to that later on.
Oh.
Well, no. Are you ready for our talk today?
Absolutely.
All right. I have my notes. I have my happy mug. Yeah, my tea.
My mug looks pretty boring compared to yours.
Well,
that's a little cute cup. It's got paint all over it because I'm renovating the house.
Yeah, well, that's also a very nice mug. You know, it's a testimony to your industry, to your how do you call that? To your achievements. You know, because you're working in your home, you got a new home, and you're still working it, right?
This is true. Yeah.
When you're done, when you're done, you can put it in a special place in your.
I did a silly thing the other day. Actually, I started painting the stairs with normal paint, and then I had a moment where I was like, I think I need floor paint. This is gonna wipe out.
I don't think that's gonna work.
I don't think it's gonna work. And then I told my friend, and she was just howling. She was like, "How would you think that normal, regular wall paint would work on your stairs?" I was like, I don't know.
Well, I think we all have made those mistakes with one thing or the yeah. So. But now your stairs are done, right?
Oh no, I still need to paint it. I need to paint them with actual stair floor paint.
With the right paint. Oh, okay. Well, much success to you in that endeavor.
Tell me about it. I know.
Well, you're a mindset coach,
Yes.
right? And this is a very important subject. A lot of people have questions in that regard. So I prepared some basic questions, and maybe through that we can steer the discussion and hopefully encourage other people to post questions. And if by the way, to all our viewers, Michaela's contact information is in the description box in the description box of the video. So if you want to get in touch with Michaela and just write her a note and she will get in touch with you.
Yeah, right, I'm not the most active, I must say, at the moment, but next month there will be some activity with Armando actually on my YouTube channel. So
that's right.
Feel free to check that out.
Right. So, well, let's begin, Michaela. How would you describe in 1 or 2 sentences mindset? What is mindset?
Oh, that's difficult, isn't it?
Well, you can use maybe like more sentences. Maybe a few more.
So I guess it's different for everybody because everybody's different. They're all seeing things from their own lens. But mindset for me, it starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
And it's about giving yourself fundamentally the time and the energy to work on your mind, just as much as what we work on our bodies, what many of us work on our bodies. You know, we go to the gym, but we don't train our mind. We don't practice meditation. Well, some of us do, but many of us neglect these areas of our lives, which are equally as important. So for me, mindset is 1, self-awareness, 2, acceptance, 3, perspective, and changing the perspective accordingly if you need to, if something's not working for you. And I suppose gratitude is also implemented into that. And being grateful for what we have around us. I mean, mindset is a massive scope. There's lots of different little topics within it. So just to kind of categorize that in 2 sentences is very, very difficult. But I suppose mindset for me is being aware, self-aware enough to stay as much as possible stress-free, healthy, and content, not necessarily happy, but content with, I guess, the life I'm living. So I guess that's how I would summarize it. But everybody is different.
Right. And as you said, I mean, it's really huge, and we'll be talking, and this is, we will not cover everything today, and hopefully through the feedback of our viewers, we'll keep building on this subject. Beliefs. In your experience, what are the most harmful beliefs? I mean, there is a relationship, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. There is a relationship between our beliefs and our mindset. Have you noticed certain beliefs that harm people? That harm them in their life. Their performance, their awareness, their life goals, and things like that.
Many beliefs harm us. They play a huge role to how we develop and move and shift through life. Sometimes we're not aware that they're there. They're subconscious. They come from parents. They come from things that have been printed on us. Money doesn't grow on trees imprints that there's a lack, there's a scarcity. This attitude towards people with money being negative. Many of us grew up with an attitude that rich people were bad people. And that again formulates a bit of a resistance on a subconscious level of us making money. And then you've got beliefs triggered by potentially physical traits from when you were a child. Someone said something to you, maybe they called you fat, and you're still holding on to that belief 30 years later, busting your bum at the gym, eating as many apples and as green vegetables as you can, with this belief and this image of yourself.
Right.
Yeah. That was from like 30 years ago. And then you've obviously got the beliefs that stem from learnings. So when we encounter hardships, hard times, it creates a belief. Humans are always moving towards something positive or away from something negative. And when we experience something negative, we formulate a belief around that to prevent us from being hurt again, which is it's a survival mechanism, right? So it's really important that we do that. If we didn't have that, every time we touched if we touched a hot stove, we'd touch it again. We have to create this. But the problem is that the mind doesn't know that the situation could be entirely different if it's a little bit similar. So for example, if you went through some sort of abusive relationship as a child, you might in the future see someone who holds something similar to this person and think that it's going to happen again. Do you know what I mean? That's just one example. Where the mind, or say if you went through a breakup and someone hurt you really badly, that way, our belief is imprinted that if we fall in love, we might get left, people might leave us, right? So then maybe we in the future, if we start to see telltale signs that someone is pulling away, we pull away first, because that's a protective mechanism, a defense mechanism from a belief that
we build a protection wall around us.
Yeah. So lots of beliefs that we hold can have very negative influence over our lives, and that's why we need to be really conscious and really aware of what beliefs we have, and if they don't coincide with the life that we want, then we need to change them, and that's the trickier part.
You coach a lot of actors, you're
some actors,
right, or some actors, or but what are the most common harmful beliefs that you have encountered?
It is, it does tend to be all over the board, but with actors, because what they do, the way that actors, their skill is that they are in front of people and they are essentially delivering a performance for the entertainment of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is to do with being accepted or
Mm-hmm.
being praised or being appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So many people that I work with or have worked with in the past
Right.
struggle with self-love,
Okay.
struggle with, I suppose, being noticed. Like there's a belief there that they are not good enough, that they are often someone who is overlooked, you know, and that's why they come to acting, because it gives them an arena to do that. Not all actors, of course,
No.
just potentially maybe some. So
Okay.
self-love, self-worth, you know, I spoke about this in my session last a fortnight ago, but negative self-talk, all these things
Mm-hmm.
come into play with some of the people that I coach in that arena, because essentially, more often than not, we are all on the hunt for love and acceptance.
Well, it's part of our human being, right? I mean, we want to love and we want to love and be loved, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and
And then
how,
there can be harmful beliefs that get in the way of that. For example, if I have my boundary, and a belief could be something like, if I have boundaries, I won't get love.
mm-hmm.
So I cannot have boundaries. So I get walked all over, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I do things that I don't want to do, or I give too much. And you don't enforce things that protect yourself, because you feel like if you have that, then people won't love you anymore. You know, that's just one belief.
You have to be agreeable all the time.
Potentially, yeah.
Right.
And that can
That's
obviously,
normal.
if you do that for a long period of time, and you keep serving others and you keep putting others first before you,
Mm-hmm.
it will get to the point where you become resentful, you become low, you become sad, you become disengaged from the world. And obviously no one wants those things in their life. So we have to kind of be aware of certain beliefs before they take hold. And cause a negative impact, or too much of a negative impact, which means constantly being aware, which is where the self-awareness comes in for me. Because you could ask someone else and they could say, oh, mindset is beliefs or your attitudes or whatever. But for me, it goes further than that. Like, it's an awareness. It's having a positive mindset is obviously, before you can have a positive mindset, you need to be self-aware enough to know the beliefs, the attitudes, the things that are inside of you that are shaping your future and your world.
What to begin? I mean, for the people that are listening to us, you know, I mean, okay, awareness is key, is fundamental. If I want to get if I want to get better, if I want to have a growth mindset, you know,
Yes.
where to begin? I mean, I know this is not a coaching session for the people that are watching us, but you know, just so people can get a taste of your work and what you do.
I mean, every individual is different, which is why, you know, coaching sessions give you that one-to-one personal kind of journey,
right?
Because whatever is holding one person back is so astronomically different to someone else, because no one has lived your life and been in your footsteps. It's this whole thing, isn't it? Like when some people say, oh, they don't know how difficult it's been for me. And it's like, well, no, they don't know how difficult. And, you know, we look down on other people. They haven't been through this, this, and this, and this.
This is self-pity, right?
Yeah, but they've had their own struggles. And just because they aren't the same as yours doesn't mean that they're not there. So I suppose it's being able to be open to dive into those is the first stage, like allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be open, and to go through a little bit of potential pain to start off with in order to grow.
And that's
because when you become
right?
aware, absolutely, because as soon as you become aware of some of these things that you've been suppressing, that you've been hiding, that you've been distracting yourself from your entire life. A lot of emotions come up from that trauma or those beliefs, you know, that you've got to deal with. And people don't want that, of course, with everything else that we have in the world. Why would anyone want that as well?
Right. I mean, I've seen that, you know, to be vulnerable. It's so powerful, but at the same time, it's painful, right? And but in order to grow, I believe, you know, and I think that's part of what you are saying, right? We have to accept, okay, maybe I do have a problem, and I have to accept that, and maybe I need to look for help, right?
I mean, maybe it's not even a problem. You know, no one is perfect. You are not bruised. You do not need fixing. But
You're
if
not broken.
You're not broken. Yeah, exactly. That's what they say, isn't it? You know, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. So it may not be a problem until it comes into your awareness. And then you're like, actually, I'm not happy with this. And that's when it becomes the problem, because you've found something intrinsically that you are not happy with and you think is hindering your growth and your future. And then that's when we can start to work on overcoming that obstacle.
Right.
We just talk about beliefs and awareness, right? And I mentioned to you last, I believe it was our last session, our last video, that I tried to help my kids to
get to self-affirm themselves.
Yeah.
And in this case, my kids, for example, you know, the one, you know, she knows, you know, I have problems with, or I struggle with math, right? And then I hate math because I struggle with math, you know, and then the blaming game starts, right? Yeah, it's because of my teacher. He doesn't, or she doesn't know how to explain things well enough, you know, and that's why I don't get it, and that's why I hate math, and so on and so forth. You know? And maybe some, you know, some of the same principles apply to any other struggle that we have in life, right? So what I tried to do, as I mentioned to you last time, it was, you know, okay, well, let us focus on something that you can do, you know, to affirm, because right now you have a blockade, right? Like, I hate math, I'm not good at it, I'm gonna get bad notes, and then you know, you know, you start blaming others for your shortcomings. So do you work a lot with affirmations and positive affirmations, and what place do they play in this healing process, if I could use that term?
The language that we use about ourselves is really integral into what we think and what we believe about ourselves. So if you are daily, you know, saying the affirmation, I'm a strong, determined woman who can achieve anything she wants, on an unconscious level somewhere that's going in. But we can't just say the affirmations, they have to be linked with an action as well, you know. And you could even further this and say, you know, so you could say the affirmation, then you could visualize, and then it can be linked with an action as well. We have to gain traction, so we start showing up as the person that we affirm in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So the affirmations are the first start of it, because that starts to get your mind. Humans don't like the unknown, you know. So if we start saying these things,
I have a story about that. Remind me. I don't want. Sorry, I'll tell you about that because it's very
amazing.
important. Go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so we don't like the unknown, and you know, we also have a very strong belief about being modest. So actually saying positive things about ourselves is quite difficult. So as soon as we got used to
we get embarrassed, right, when somebody gives us a compliment, like, oh, stop it.
We don't take ownership of it. It's like, oh, you know, your hair looks, someone said to me the other day, they went, hair looks really great, and I went, oh, I washed it.
There's a reason for that.
There's a reason. I just washed it. It's not because I didn't say, oh, thank you for that. Like, yeah, my hair does look great today, because then I'd be judging myself that,
Right.
and this is what we do.
What would be a good response? Like, yeah, I know that.
Well, no, because it's power play, isn't it? In
Right.
every human interaction is status and power play, and we give and take status. If they are a friend, we play the status battle nicely. If they are an enemy, we try and take as much status as possible.
Right.
Or if we feel like they don't have much status in that conversation, we self-deprecate. We lower our status.
Comedians do that a lot, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Give and take status. Absolutely. Yeah. Without a doubt.
But that's also a power move, right? That could be a power move.
It is a power move.
I mean, it can go both ways, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I guess a good answer would just be like accepting and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Or it could even be thank you. I made a bit of an effort today, because then it's like accepting that my effort to do my hair today has led to like a nice thing, like just thank you. It's funny, isn't it? We don't tend to just accept and say thanks.
So somebody gave me a compliment. So somebody
was it about your hair?
Well, not this one, but this one right here. And I had somebody wrote a comment in my YouTube channel and said like, well, I need some tips. I need some tips to do, your beard tips. Yeah, I need beard tips. I'm just like, well, I don't know about that, but okay, I'll give.
I mean, yeah, if they're asking for it, why not?
Why not? Right?
But we got derailed. I'm sorry. I don't know where we were.
No, well, about beliefs, right? That we have to accept, and the words we say is important, right? Self-affirmation.
Yeah. So the self-affirmations, the language that we use. I've studied NLP, and it talks a lot about the language that they use and the imprint that has on our belief systems,
right.
and how the things we say about ourselves, even saying things like, I don't know, I'm not sure, what do you think? I was working with a client who was saying a lot of these words all the time.
I'm so stupid, how could I do that? When we right, things like that.
Obviously what they were struggling with at the time was having autonomy over their lives, and it was very present in the language that they were using. So one of the first pieces of advice that I gave to them was, we've got to change your language. You have to start being affirmative in your choices and assertive in your choices.
You have to be aware, right? You have to be very conscious, like, well, I should stop doing that, right?
Which is why self-awareness for me is at the heart of mindset. It's at the heart of mindfulness. It's at the heart of mind health.
You just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, and I told you I have a story. It just happened yesterday, and it has to do about the unknown.
Yeah.
And how we build. I think it's past. I'm thinking German right now. Sorry. I think that it applies. I think it applies.
I like the way your face moves when you think in German. You can see the clogs going.
I had to rewatch the video and see what you're talking about. I probably have a different phrase when I think in Spanish too, right? But I think it applies to what we're talking about right now. And yesterday it was very, very windy here where we live, and we were already in bed. But I got up, and I was thirsty, so I got up and got a cup of tea, and then when I went to bed. But then after me, my son, he's 11, he got up and he wanted to get something to eat. He was hungry. So because it was really windy, he heard some noises outside, right? So he came in the room and said, "Papa, I think there is someone out there." So I got up, and I thought, I cannot be. I mean, I think it's a wind, and we live a little bit outside. We don't live quite in the city. We live a little bit outside in the not really in the countryside, but something in between, right? So I got up and I decided it was the one moment to teach my son a lesson, hopefully a good lesson for life. And it's like, okay, this is what we do when you're not sure.
when you're not sure what is out there, when you're not sure what's happening. So I got the keys. I opened the door, and I got out, and I went outside. And it's a little dark, and it's windy, and like in the movie, things like that, and you don't know what is, what if somebody is out there, right?
Yeah.
You don't know.
You're like the
So
cliche in the horror movie where they go
absolutely
and face the monster.
right, and that's exactly what it is. That you gotta go and face it. You gotta go out and face it. So of course I was prepared. I was born in Mexico. I grew up. I grew up in Mexico, so I'm kind of used to be aware of my surroundings in case there's the danger, right? So I went out there, and of course the adrenaline is pumping a little bit. So I went behind the bushes, behind the car, in the garage, and things, and everything is dark, right? And my son is on the door, just waiting for me and watching what I'm doing, right? So it's like, and I came back, so nothing was there. So it's like, okay, it's windy. I explained things to him. So like, but this is what you do when you are not sure and when you're afraid of things. You just hope you need to go out there and face it. You know, maybe I wouldn't send my son outside in that case, but I hopefully
Yeah,
my,
the
my
learning is
example
there.
will
Yeah.
tell him something. Okay, I have to face it, whether that's an exam, whether there is a new job, whether there is financial uncertainty, whatever. It's like,
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? If it's,
no,
I mean, we've got to be conscious of the risk as well.
right,
Like,
right.
for example, with that, obviously you wouldn't send your 11-year-old boy out there, like,
No,
because
no,
the risk is, so we wouldn't feel the fear and do it anyway.
right,
But we just don't want to be too risk averse, do we? We want to
right.
be knowing of what the risks are, but as long as the outcome of moving through that fear gives you far more positives than negatives, then that's the reason to pursue, right? And most of the time it does, because even if, say, if you work towards a business model, or you're learning a new craft, you're taking the plunge, you're going to a class, an acting class for the first time, whatever it is, right? Stepping through that fear, you will gain experience, knowledge, wisdom, all of that strengthens us and enables us to grow, rather than if we stayed stationary. Because when we stay stationary, we're just stuck. We're stuck in that kind of mindset of, I can't do anything. I'm too fearful. And in that, you're not growing, you're not developing, you're not doing anything.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Michaela, our time is almost done, so
I
we're
know,
gonna.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I know. Time's fly. Really, time's fly. But we can maybe like slowly start wrapping this up. I mean, please, to all our viewers, if you have questions, if you have things that you would like us to go deeper, and just let us know, right, Michaela? Just drop us a note,
Absolutely.
and we'll do our best. But maybe I have an idea. We just talk about affirmation and beliefs and awareness, right? Do you? I mean, in this stage in your life, do you still practice self affirmation? I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because
I don't want to get too personal, but would you like to share some of that with us before we leave?
so I think it's important that you are constantly aware of what you need at that time. And I am just as guilty as everyone else in the world of sometimes letting life take over me. And I allow that, I allow the hustle and the bustle and being pushed and pulled. Sometimes I am guilty of that. But when I reflect, and it usually means that I've had a burnout, or I've suffered something else, which I'm getting much better at becoming aware of now, because obviously I'm doing the work. That's when I take the time to write my affirmations down and put in the practice and remember the things that become so much more crucial when you are busy and stressed. But we are all guilty. We are all guilty of letting those things go in times of stress, or times where we're busy, or times where we've just been a little bit derailed. But it's about centering yourself and bringing yourself back and allowing those clues. Like if your body, if you're getting ill, or if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling resentful, any of these things are triggers that something's not right and you need to stop. And when you stop, that is when you can reflect. And if affirmations are something that I need at that time, because I feel like maybe I don't feel confident with something, so I'm writing a book at the moment. So if I'm feeling like, I don't feel confident at this moment, or I feel a little bit out of my comfort zone, I've never written a book before, then maybe I need to remind myself how much strength I've had, how many times I have done stuff that's been out of my comfort zone. I have.
Do you say it that way, or do you have like your favorite
I like to write
quotes?
it down.
Yeah, you wrote
No,
this?
I write down what I need. It's about me. It's not about anyone else's quotes or anything.
Right.
Whatever I need at that time to believe,
you write it
to
down.
get me through, I'll write it down. But it's not something that I suppose I do every day. It's something that I do when I feel like I'm going through a phase of my life that needs that extra push, that extra belief, because maybe I'm overcoming an obstacle that I haven't faced before. So maybe I need to do it then.
Okay. I'm a tiny habits coach, and in his book, the Tiny Habits. What is my Tiny Habits book?
Amongst all of the other books.
BJ, he talks about the Maui habit. The Maui habit. Have you heard the Maui habit?
I recognize it, but I can't
Well,
put it down.
I didn't know it before I did my certification on that. And the Maui habit is, like the first thing you do when you get up, because maybe some people have struggled with they struggle with depression, and they have to face something uncomfortable on that day or whatever, so a very simple habit to practice and to do is the Maui habit. And the Maui habit is when you get up and you put your feet on the ground. When you sit in your bed and you put your feet on the ground, the first thing you say something along these lines. You can use your own version, so that, like, you stretch your arms and say, "Today is going to be a great day."
Yeah.
Finito. That's it, right? But somehow these words, among others, I mean, you can come up with your own words, right? I mean, with your own belief, and say, like, I don't know, I'm going to enjoy this day, or I'm gonna be successful, or whatever, right? And we stick to it, and
I mean, I would go one step further and say that the night before
you go to bed,
when you get in bed, you'd say, tomorrow is going to be a wonderful day.
Yeah.
And then you repeat that in the morning.
Yeah. Just keep saying it, right? I mean, I'm going to, it's just so powerful, because we really have power in our tongues, so to speak, right? I mean, we have the power. The Bible says, right? The tongue has the power to give life or to kill.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, with just with the words we say, with how people talk to their kids, or bosses talk to their employees, right?
Communication is key. How we communicate to others and how we communicate to ourselves can be either very uplifting or quite detrimental. So I suppose it's what's the language you're using, right?
Right.
What words are you choosing? Because they affect everything, your entire life, and those around you.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thought to finish our session today. I mean, that's so powerful what you just said. Can you repeat that, please?
No, you'll just have to replay. I suppose just be mindful of the language you're using to others and to yourself. And see how that affects the next course of the week.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great challenge for all of us. For our viewers. Just let us reflect on the way we talk to ourselves, the words we are using, and hopefully maybe like replace them
with something positive and uplifting and edifying and beautiful, right?
I know we're running out of time, but there's so much more that I'd want to say about that topic.
I know. Well, next time, so you have we'll have another chance. So, Michaela, as always, lovely talking to you. It was a great session. I thank you very much, and to all our viewers, we wish you a successful and blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Talk. Michaela, good morning.
Good morning.
That's right. We are excited to have you back, and this week we have two subjects, and I'm going to let Michaela pick one of them. We were talking off cameras whether to talk about routines and habits, or imposter syndrome. Very important subjects, and I think they could be relevant to every one of you who are watching our live talk today. So, Michaela, which one would you like to address today? That's a hard choice, isn't it?
It's a very, very hard choice. I'm kind of itching on maybe habits because I'm not as good, but I think imposter syndrome everyone can relate with. Like in terms of habits, I don't think I'm particularly, I have some great habits that are ingrained in me, but I'm not particularly amazing at building new habits that I know I should be doing every day and sticking with them. But it's one of those subjects that I do find a little bit boring, and I don't know why. I'm always like, even though it's an integral part of my coaching, and I'm a firm believer that they work, and we are ritualized creatures. So like when we do something enough, it will become part of us and part of our identity, etc. At the same time, sometimes forming a new habit is very, very difficult, isn't it? But maybe we should start with that one, because obviously that's the one that I've veered towards, haven't I, straight away? Even though I'm like, no.
Okay.
Maybe it's the one that poses a little bit more emotion in me.
Okay.
Although, not saying that imposter syndrome doesn't. Obviously, as an actress, that has been a huge area that I have needed to work on, and I coach a lot of people on that as well.
Yes.
But yeah, let's go with habits. Why not?
Okay. Well, this is I got inspired because of our last talk, right? We were talking about the mindset and what triggers, pros, cons, and but I was thinking, okay, well, how can we develop a healthy mindset? How can we develop a growth mindset? And are you familiar with the works from the Dr. I forgot the name, Druckworth. The book is called The Growth Mindset.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember it very well. I don't think I've like read the entire book. The last book I read on habits was Atomic Habits. But I don't remember. I'm terrible when I read a book. Like I actually have to write a PDF sometimes with the information so that I remember the key points.
Right. I'm gonna leave the description on the title in the description box. I'm gonna look for it as I'm talking to you. I don't mean to be disrespectful, because I think it might be interesting for the people that are watching. Yeah. But because I forgot the whole name, but I'll include the name in the description box. Basically, in the book, she talks about two different kinds of mindsets, right? And the growth mindset is the kind of mindset that people, when people face a hard times in life, struggles in life, obstacles in life, challenges and whatnot, they don't look for people to blame. They don't look for excuses, or they don't fall into depressions. It's on
they see that as an opportunity to grow. They don't stagnate. They see that as okay, a challenge to be conquered, right? And I believe when this is very appropriate, and routines or habits are key. We have to learn that, and not everyone has the opportunity to train, to learn, because some people are from nature positive and go get it, and I'm going to keep fighting, and they don't shy away from challenges, right? They are just like, I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna get it. But a lot of people are not like that. They are not like that. We need to learn, we need to be trained. And I was thinking, that would be interesting to talk about that with Michaela. How has she developed her own mindset? Has she developed or strengthened her mindset? And routines and habits play an important part. Let us start with that. What do you think about that? Do you have a set of routines that has helped you to develop or strengthen your mindset?
I think it's interesting what you said about how well, in the book it talks about this growth mindset and how it comes out of hardship. Because whilst I wouldn't say, I said to you then, I was like, oh, I'm not a big fan of habits, blah, 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 blah. I think, I mean, I am a big fan of habits. I love habits. I think they're amazing, but they're just hard to implement, right? Which is fine, because nothing good ever comes from something that's easy. But with that, I think a lot of the habits that I have created have come from a need.
Right.
So a need that wasn't fulfilled, that needed to be fulfilled. So growing up in the environment I did, with very little money, growing up with very little support, and growing up seeing the world as a place that could be quite scary, meant that I needed to create a life that was optimistic and filled with possibility and light. So I guess in a way, an unconscious habit was created maybe out of an escapism, maybe out of a belief that there was something more. From when I was little. So when I was little, I woke up every morning excited to start the day, even though we grew up with, we had no money, we had little or nothing. I clung to learning and growing. I got a lot of happiness from doing those things. I loved sport. It made me feel good. So I very quickly learned what things made me feel good and what things didn't, and what things to hold on tight to and what things to let go of. And my home life was, because it was a challenge for my mum bringing up two kids on her own. And there was lots of different men on the scene. So a lot of my home life, I didn't really want to associate my identity with. So even though I grew up with very little or no money, I still had an image of myself that I was quite wealthy and like a normal, not normal, because what is normal? But back then when you're like, a 12-year-old, you're like, I'm just normal, right? So, I kind of automatically, without even knowing so, created an identity that didn't align with my reality, but aligned with who I wanted to be.
Okay.
Which is interesting to say that was something that I did as a child, and then ultimately that's who I became, right? I became someone who went to uni and has done a master's and became that middle class person that I wanted to be. But some people would purposely put in a habit of thinking of themselves in the image of who they want to be rather than who they are to make that happen. Whereas for me, happened automatically. It was a mechanism I was already doing from a very young age. The same with seeing things in a really positive way, I guess, because that was my mechanism from escaping or from surviving at the time. You know, if I lived in a continuous negative mindset of this neighbor's got this and this best friend's got this and I don't have this, blame, then I was never going to get anywhere.
Right.
I learned that from a very, very young age, that a positive, not just a positive nature, but like perspective shifts are crucial. They are crucial in your future.
Okay.
And how your future pans out for you. I remember I went to some people, so obviously we grew up on a council estate. My mum had no money. She literally, like, we had no family around, no dads on the scene.
Right.
And we had some students came into our school, and they were from uni. And I never thought uni was an option for me. Of course, I didn't know anything about grants, didn't know anything about like what you could claim.
Yeah.
And this group came in about 6 months before the portals opened for university applicants, and I was in A-levels at the time, so around 17, 18. And she came in, a group of them, and they changed my life in that moment, because they said, if you are from a low-income background and you get EMA, or that's what we used to call it at the time, you know, if you're not from like a wealthy background, you can get support from the government. They will give you a grant to help you to go to uni. So you can get this much money in loan, you can get this much money in a grant, and you can go to uni. Straight away, I was like, I'm going to go to uni. And I went home that night. This is the upbringing that I had. I went home that night and I went, Mum, I'm going to go to uni. And she turned around to me and she went, how? I'm not paying for it.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I was met with. So my mum was always not out of any, like, you know, she didn't mean that in a, I don't want you to go. She meant it out of fear. I can't afford that. Don't come to me. I don't have that money. Like, you know, it's not going to, but I was met with a hurdle, a challenge.
Right.
And as I did my entire life, whenever I was hit with one, I would overcome it. So straight away, I was like, I know how I'm going to do it. You need to fill in some forms. My mum wasn't great at filling in forms. I was like, I'm going to help you fill in the forms. We need to like write down what you earn, and we need to send them off to the grants and the university schemes and whatnot.
Wow.
And I'm going to go. And she was like, obviously her anxiety was getting to her at this point. She said, well, what forms? Who wants to look at my, you know, and she's panicking. And I don't know why she's panicking, but that's just the way my mum is. She's just panics and gets overwhelmed. And then obviously I sat down and spoke through what they'd taught me, and she was just kind of like, right, okay, well, these were her words. You're dealing with it. You're doing it. I'm not doing it. So I was like, okay, cool. So again, another habit had been formed from a very, very young age, that if I wanted something, I had to get it myself. I had to take action. It wasn't just going to come to me.
But this is just fascinating, because as I'm listening to you, I gather, I mean, you are from nature a go-getter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a very different character and personality in that regard to your mom in this case, right? But you are just like, you know, just, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna set this goal for myself and achieve it.
Yeah.
And that's of course an awesome thing to have. A lot of people don't have that, right? And I just I was struggling with the other type of mindset. You don't have that one. I mean, you don't have a fixed mindset. You have a growth mindset. And this is the and I found the author too, as you were talking. The book is called Mindset, and the author is Carol Dweck. She is a PhD, yeah, and in psychology, mindset. I'm gonna leave that in the description box. And she described that the fixed mindset. A lot of people struggle with that. And this fixed mindset is the type of mindset which will react typically like that, right? Like, I can't. Just hold on. Sorry. My kids are home. And braucht ihr was noch? Okay, weil ihr bringt mit sehr durcheinander. They are preparing pizza, the dough, and they are coming in the background. out of concentration, like, like, okay, just get what you need. Okay.
Oh,
I know. So they were like, oops. I think they got it. What was I left? Oh, the book.
yes.
I'm gonna try to paste it and
Yeah. I think you should leave it in.
You're right. I probably will. That's fun. But yeah, in the book, she talks about these two different kinds of mindsets, right? Fix and growth. And the fix is the one that always look for excuses or for ways to cover up their inadequacies. Is that a word? Inadequacies,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
still like why I can't, and they see everything as futile, like, well, there's no sense in trying. Why, and or like I said, looking for excuses, and but people with talent, without talent, but with a growth mindset, they can achieve great things in life because they have discipline, because they have, I'm gonna keep asking, I'm gonna keep fighting. If I don't know, I'm going to look for an answer, I'm going to research, I'm going to practice, and I'm just gonna get what I want.
It's that accountability as well, isn't it? Like what you said just then, he had to blame his method was blame, whereas if you're accountable, all of a sudden you are now responsible for your destination because you've said this, I'm here and I'm at this place because I've done XYZ. And by being accountable, we again take control of the things we can control, which is ourselves and not external factors. So he's blaming the weather and he's blaming the rain and the XYZ, which is all external to him. Well, why didn't he? I mean, it's me saying this. I'm no athlete. I'm like, why didn't you train in the wind and the rain?
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
he'll probably come back and be like, yeah, let's see you with your racket.
But imagine, that's a problem, with, I mean, I guess in every aspect of life, if you're talented, you don't feel the need for, for like, go the extra mile.
The need. It comes from a need, like the reason why, like, if your reason why is big enough, you'll go against the grain and you'll go into that growth mindset. And I think you said earlier, when you experience some kind of like trauma or something challenging, that can be the thing that ultimately prompts you to grow. We don't grow in ease, when something's easy or when we're content, we don't really grow. That's why life throws these things at us to challenge us and to get us a fire up our bottom so that we can kind of we can grow. And we need that as humans to feel like we're living. When we're growing, we are living.
And that's why I thought about you, and your habits and your rituals. Have you identified? I mean, you are gifted with this kind of mindset. I mean, as I get to know you more and more, I see, you just have that fire in your belly, and I'm just gonna get what I set my mind to, right? But have you maybe identified some kinds of habits that maybe unconsciously you practice or that keep you going?
Yeah.
Can you share maybe like one or two with us?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the biggest habits I have is I keep my body moving. I train nearly every day, whether it's walking for an hour or whether it's going to the gym and doing weights. I'll usually do it in the morning. It's something.
Are you like a fitness buff type of person?
I like my food. The problem is I like my food. So I train a lot, but I eat a lot. Like food for me is one of the most beautiful pleasures in life. So you got to embrace it, right? But
that's good.
Keeping yourself fit, I think it helps with my mindset. It makes me feel like today I was at the gym and I was doing like sumo deadlifts. You got wide legs and a heavy weight, and I was on a heavy weight than normal, and I got to 10 and I was like, come on Michaela, 2 more, and then my brain goes, just give up now because you've got another set. And I went, no, absolutely not. I'm going through the pain. You know, I'm programming my brain at this moment to move through the pain, because you don't get anywhere in comfort, you know. You won't get anywhere in comfort. So I have to be uncomfortable to grow, to gain the muscle on my bum. And then, you know, in the next set, I felt fueled. I was ready to go. I was like, I've done the other 2 sets now. I know I can do it. I'll do this 3rd set. And it was easy. So,
but do you think that can be applied? This type of energy and mentality can apply to other areas of life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if you are practiced in feeling uncomfortable or discomfort and then still moving through successfully that to a better gain, and not just a gain you're going to see now, but a gain that you might see in 3 weeks, because you certainly don't get the muscle straight away. If you move through that and you can wait for your result in that area of your life, that is a technique, a habit that you can put in other areas too, without a doubt. But it needs to be fueled by a need. There needs to be a reason why, and that why needs to be big. Like, you know.
So you have a purpose,
and
then you keep pushing your limits.
Yeah, absolutely. So because I'm an actress, I need to be very aware of my physicality. Because I'm a mindset coach, I need to be very aware of my mind. So for me, the gym, it is a must. Like Tony Robbins, he always says, you know, must or should. It is a must. I have to do it, because my identity, who I am, depends on me taking this action. I have to. If I don't work in coherence with this, then my identity is in a different place to who I am, and then I'll behave incoherently. So, and also, you know, I'm a firm believer in like researching health benefits and in motivation benefits of this stuff. So for me, it is a belief. If I train, I will be a better person. I will be able to do the things I want to do. I will be able to grow. I will be able to deal with pain and move through it. It's like yoga. I hate yoga. Oh God, honestly, I shouldn't say that. I should love yoga, and I do. You know what? It's a love-hate relationship. But if I do a power yoga, sometimes I'm in some positions and I am in excruciating pain, working through it, you know, feeling really uncomfortable, and I have to take control of my mind, just go through it, just be in that moment.
So you can just contortion. You can now contortion your whole body and do this kind of exercises, or what? Oh man, I look at some of the things that they do. I was like, oh.
No, I can't do all of those. I can do like headstands and stuff, but like, so yeah, and it's the moment afterwards where we're just laid down and we're breathing, and you've got that release that you feel amazing, and you're like, oh, that was brilliant, and it does so much for your mental health. Yoga, it's absolutely amazing. That's why I'm saying I've got a love-hate relationship, because in some of the poses I'm in pain, but then
no pain, no gain.
Exactly, right? So one of the habits is going to the gym. Another habit is I wake up when my alarm goes off. I don't snooze, ever. I've never done this. I've never snoozed.
Never, ever.
I did it at uni, and I became very, very lazy. So this is a lie. I have snoozed. I used to press the snooze button when I went to university. I'd be quite hungover. I had a good time at uni, let's put it that way. And snooze, but if snooze went on,
tell us about it.
I know, yeah, totally different story.
But a different topic.
I feel like if I put the snooze button on, then it totally changes my mindset for the day. I don't feel ready for life. I don't feel energized. I don't feel excited. I feel lazy, demotivated, and I just don't want to move. I don't want to get out of bed. So that's one thing that and I told you before, I said when I was a kid, I used to wake up and I'd be really excited. So when I noticed that the snooze button was affecting me, I stopped, changed it. I don't do it no more. Get out of bed straight away. No snooze. And I hate people who snooze because it's so annoying. You're laid in bed and they're in the next room, or you know, your partner's laid next to you and they're sneezing, and you're like, you're waking me up. Because I'm awake. The first alarm goes. And
I know. I hate that too. Yes. So, we're coming to an end. As always, time.
It's gone so quick. I feel like I've just talked at you for a while.
I know. It's just weird, which is good, I guess. Hopefully our audience are enjoying that as much as we do.
Yeah, hopefully.
But
well, following on from what you said, for me,
yes.
the habits, going to the gym and waking up as soon as my alarm goes off are two that are pretty ingrained, and that I would say are very, very useful habits for anybody, and
right.
Really beneficial.
This is very interesting, and I would love to. I'm gonna make a note of that. We should do it again. Or we should keep going next time,
great.
Because I would like to. I mean, people like you have something innate in you. That you can. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's easier. It's easy for you to when you make a decision. I'm gonna do this, and you follow through. And right?
I mean, yes. I would say it's easier, but I don't know because I'm not inside anyone else's head. But I guess that's a conversation about identity and who I believe I am. So in the past, because I've made a decision from a very young age and followed through and defeated obstacles, I now see myself as a person who does that. But we can create that identity at any
exactly.
age.
Yeah. And that's what I would like to talk about next time. Because I think there's very valuable, how do we develop? How do we come to that point? Maybe like for some people that struggle more with that, maybe they consciously they want to get up when they hear the alarm cling, but they just can't get to it, But maybe there's a solution. I mean, there is a way to do it.
I have one piece of advice for your audience members. So I was working with someone not so long ago. Yesterday, and she said to me, I said, what would help you in this moment? Like, give yourself some time, give yourself some space, like what would help you? And she said, I'd like to go running. She said, well, I wouldn't like to go running, but I've always wanted to be a runner. I'm not a runner, so I don't go running. And I was like, okay, so let's become a runner. How do we become a runner? And she was like, well, I go running. And I went, okay, cool, when are we going to start? And she said, I'm going to start tomorrow. And I was like, so you're going to start today? I was like, because then from today you're a runner. And she did. We got off the call straight away. She's out. She's messaged me. I've got back. It was amazing. It felt great. I didn't run very far, but it felt great. And she's, now her identity aligns with what she wants, and she feels great because that's something that she wants. So I guess my advice would be pick one thing that you want, whether that's if it's to get a bit healthier, something small that you can do. Like this week, I'm going to cut out sweets or biscuits or something like that. Or I'm going to make an effort to eat more green vegetables or more rainbow colored foods. And start today. Make one small change and start today. And then you will soon become a person who sticks to the things they say they're going to do. And that will become ingrained in you.
Right.
Because you know that you are that type of person. Your identity is, I'm a person who says they're going to do what they do, what they want to do,
Right.
So that would be my one piece of advice.
That's a great piece of advice. I have one thing that I do, and then we close up, and that I try to implement for myself, and that is a cold shower.
Yes, Wim Hof.
Well, yes, that's how I get started, but my starting point was more on the philosophical part of it. I mean, the health benefits as well, but the philosophical part of it in the sense that we are too comfortable in our life. We want to boil water. We open the faucet, and that out comes half boiled water, and you just have to put it on the stove, and but you go into the shower, it's there. I mean, you come to a warm bed and warm house. Things are automated in our society that we are too comfortable. in life. So the philosophical part of it was for me, like, how can I make my life a little bit uncomfortable?
Yeah.
I need to go back to my roots in the sense, like life is, most part of the world do not have the comforts that I have, right? And that makes me soft. Much like you in the gym, I believe, like, no, I need to keep pushing. If I stay there, I'll stay in my comfort zone. I need to keep pushing, right? So that's the philosophical part of it. So for me, like, okay, how can I make myself, I do sport as well, so I can relate to what you're saying. You have to keep pushing. But in the shower, it's like, well, what can I do? And because of Wim Hof, I said, like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. So I do the breathing exercises, but in the shower, I take a shower with warm water. Everyone likes warm water, but at the end, I always finish with like 45 seconds, more or less, of I just turn the water cold. And at the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Do you do that thing where you're like,
yeah. At the beginning, it was awful. That's the point. At the beginning, it was awful. So I began gradually doing it, right? But today, I love it. It's just part of me. I actually look forward to that part. It's like I used to stay there, and I don't struggle anymore. It's like cold water.
Well, I guess at this point I would challenge you and say you've got comfortable with the discomfort. So is it serving you anymore? It's serving you in your health benefits. But
so go for it.
How cold can you go? Like, can we get some ice buckets in there?
I know. That's the next point, and you're absolutely right. I need to keep pushing the boundaries and go to the next level. But I think, man, we have great material for our next talk.
Absolutely.
Michaela, one last word you want to give our audience before we say goodbye for today?
If you want to create a new habit, have a really strong why.
Okay.
Get that really strong. Get the fuel really strong. And I always say to my clients, what if you do and what if you don't? And write that down. We'll do the easiest one. If I do go to the gym, I'll get strong, I'll get fit, I'll get mentally, I'll feel mentally good about myself, I'll get healthy, I'll get motivated. If I don't go to the gym, I'll feel less motivated. I won't push through pain. I'll probably get fatter. I'll be unhealthy. Okay. I might be at risk of heart disease, etc. So that would be like what I would say.
Discover your why.
Discover your why. Yeah. Why do you need to create the habit, and then go from there.
All right. Great advice. Please, if you have questions for Michaela, if you want to get to know more about her coaching services, all her information is in the description box. Get in touch with her, and send us your comments. Right, Michaela? Send us your comments, send us your questions. Yes, we'll love to hear from you, and we'll do our best to answer every single of your questions. Well, it's for today. That's all for today. It was awesome as always, Michaela. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So, to all of our viewers and to you, Michaela, as well, of course, have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.
Have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think, are we there? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Test. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
I'm so ready.
Okay.
Okay, come on, let's go.
All right, let's go. Okay, we're professional.
Professional.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Live.
All right.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Live Talk. Michaela, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good, yeah.
It's so good to see you again.
Yes, it's lovely to see you, as always.
That's a time.
Is that Rubik's Cube in your background?
That's right. I have 2. I too. I'm very slow, but no, this is a 2x2, and this is the traditional 3x3.
They're very difficult. Very,
Well,
very difficult.
I'm trying to show my to encourage my kids to learn, but it's somehow hard to encourage them to do something like this. I'm
It's
trying
because
to.
it's really difficult, isn't it? So it's like
Well,
that perseverance in the face of constant failure.
you know,
Resilience you're trying to create, which is
yeah,
great.
exactly.
But
That's the point. I'm trying to teach the
they're
resilience.
not getting, and when you get it, it's not like a big win. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel. It's like, oh yeah, I did it.
I got it. Well, and then the next level is to time, to time yourself and see how fast. And I'm not fast, but and then there are really geniuses out there. I mean, I once saw a video of a young kid, a teenager, and this kid was juggling Rubik's cubes and chatting with someone, whatever, football or whatever, and at the same time, how do you call them?
No, he wasn't doing the Rubik's cube.
He was doing the Rubik's cubes while juggling and talking to someone. I'm like, wow.
That's incredible. I mean, it's slightly dangerous, I think, as well, because if one of them fell on your head, you know what I mean? You might get knocked out.
Yeah, I know. But it's amazing. It's just amazing how much talent and geniuses are out there. It's just it's amazing.
In so many various ways and forms.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm just doing because, it's kind of relaxing, to get it in your hand. But anyways, I mean, it's so happy to. Last week we were not able to meet. You were, I don't know, you had compromises, you had things to do, and so I'm just so happy that we are able to get together today. And I'm sure everyone that is watching us is also very. They love you, Michaela.
No.
Oh, they do. I mean, they write comments, so
thank
they're
you. That means a lot.
I know. It's great, isn't it?
Most of the time, I feel just a goon, really.
No, well.
No.
You are
only off camera.
You're only off camera.
In the bloopers.
And I don't know. Should I show the bloopers? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a collection of bloopers, and then at the end of the year we'll do a bloopers collection.
A bloopers reel.
That's right. But no, yes. Let's. What are we talking about today? I have two things. By the way, sorry, I got off track again. But it's Michaela. All of these years. Well, not years. Almost going into 2 years. 2 years. Yeah. It's Michaela or the Michaela.
Michaela, but I quite like the first way you said it.
I've been calling you since the very beginning, Michaela.
I think I prefer that way, but it is Michaela.
It's Michaela. Oh my gosh. Well, sorry. And
Michaela, and it's Longden. My surname is Longden, not London. Some people say London.
Say it again, please.
Like a long den.
Longden.
Long. Long den.
Longden.
Yeah, Longden.
Longden. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to emphasize the okay. I'll practice. I promise. Sorry, I didn't mean to butcher your name, but sorry.
You didn't. You made it sound so much prettier the first time.
Oh well. Well, nice. Then I
can't even say that. Michaela.
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 Well,
can't even say that.
If you're okay with that, I'll keep calling you Michaela.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I like it.
We've been talking about so many subjects, and in these last few days, there is one that I would love to talk about with you, and that is imposters syndrome. And I think, I think not only actors deal with this or struggle with imposters syndrome. I think
any performers really, like anyone who's performing under pressure, but I think anyone in general.
Yeah,
like
business people. I know,
Yeah.
for example, just today. I mean, this is very, very actual. I mean, this is happening right now. My little kid. I always have kid stories. my third daughter. She's 11. No, she's 11. My son is 11. My third daughter is 13. She's doing a presentation tomorrow, a PowerPoint presentation on the Frida Kahlo, the Mexican painter, uh, and she's well prepared. I mean, she's been working at this presentation for weeks. I mean, weeks, I'm telling you. And she has a very, very well done PowerPoint. I mean, she has like several pages of material. I mean, I know she's over prepared. She's over prepared. You know, the PowerPoint presentation, my gosh, I don't do such presentations. It's just beautiful. It's just great. You know? But she's struggling, for example, right now with, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. I get nervous, I'm in front of the people. Maybe I will mess it up, things like that. So I think this thing affects everyone. It's kids, grown-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, taking the example that you've just said there's a couple of things going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And one is that you said that she's over-prepared. She's put way too much time and energy into it.
Right.
So we need to put time and energy into things so that we trust ourselves. We need to do the research and know that we know what we're talking about.
Right.
But there is, so over-preparing, I'm not sure you can over-prepare. You can in acting because you need it to feel fresh and alive and in the moment. And not rehearsed, but a presentation can feel rehearsed. So over-preparing in terms of the knowledge and the information and understanding of what the presentation is, I'm not sure is a thing. But the over-preparing of your brain to get ready for it can kind of make the experience of what's about to happen go up here and your belief in yourself go down here as the experience becomes bigger than you. So I think that's one of the things that could be responsible for that. And then the other thing is that we focus so much on the theory. We focus so much on breaking down a script. If you're looking into, if actors are watching this today, we focus so much on the information that we forget that, well, what essentially is as a presentation, it's you performing in front of people and delivering some information. The performance element of it is just as important as the information, but we spend so much time on this and no time on this.
Right.
So it's that whole thing of like, okay, so when preparing a presentation, you've got to practice, and you've got to practice in front of people people you don't know. And you've got to go out your comfort zones and feel the fear, because then that way it's not new anymore. And as humans, we retreat from new things, and that's essentially what, in my opinion, that's what imposter syndrome is. It's when you feel like you don't belong, or you don't feel good enough or worthy enough in a situation, because either you haven't experienced it before, or you actually haven't done the work, or it's something. Go on.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No. Or it's just something that is like, it's something that maybe you've put on a pedestal, and you've made it out to be bigger than what it is. We've lost sight of what the reality of the situation is.
Okay, so right there, you're talking about like having too high of expectations, right? The maybe like unreal expectations, right, up there, and then a lack of confidence, in a sense, like, well, that's what is expected of me, whether that is real or unreal. I don't, and then it's like, well, am I prepared? Am I good enough for the challenge? Is that the perfect mixture for failure?
Well, I think it's quite interesting what you said there in terms of like, what do other people expect of me, and what do I expect of me? Got a frog in my throat, sorry. So, for example, when you're doing a presentation, we have this expectation that we put on ourselves that it needs to be the best that it can be, and that we should be as good as all these other people that present all the time. But really, we need to kind of lower our expectation of ourselves. You know, we still want to aim high and do well, but we need to, you know, be compassionate to ourselves and say, you've never done this before, and it's okay to feel a little bit nervous and a little bit awkward. You've done your prep, you've rehearsed it, you've done your research. Worst case scenario, you freeze up there. Well, sod it, you've learned. You know what I mean? But we blow it into a massive thing, and it becomes bigger than what it is. And that makes us feel small. Like we give we give the expectation, and we give the thing, the power, you know, the audition, the performance, the penalty shoot. We give that all the power, and that leaves us feeling powerless, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's you know, it's easier said than done, right? When you say, like, well, when you say, I often said to other people, on my kids, like, well, what is the worst that can happen? You know, think about what is the worst. Of course, when you're in the middle of the situation, it's a little different. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
And that's where emotional regulation comes in, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, essentially, for me as well, like a big part of imposter syndrome is a lack of self-belief. If you do not intrinsically believe in yourself enough, then to do the thing, then you are going to feel overwhelmed and burdened by the thing. It is going to sit on top of you. Whereas if you feel like, I am amazing at public speaking, I'm going to go up there and absolutely smash it, and if I don't, well, you know, I'm not too worried about it. I know I'm a good performer. I know that I am a good public speaker. So if something doesn't go right up there, it's not going to be really to do with me. You will go up there and you will smash it. Like, just that way of thinking will change how you are, how you perform.
You know, you just said something very interesting, very important, I think, is, for example, you have to be confident. You have to have confidence in yourself. You know, like, hey, I'm here for a reason. I've done the work. I've done my homework. I'm prepared. So whatever, right? And then at the same time, it's like the ability, in a sense, the ability to laugh. I mean, if you know, for a lack of a better word, you know, to laugh at yourself, like, oh, okay, what if it doesn't work? You know, what if I fail? What? You know, like it's
exactly. And this isn't easy stuff. This is what I coach. You know, I teach people, one, how to be confident, how to believe in themselves. I teach them methods. I teach them emotional regulation, so that when they are experiencing an emotional hijack, they can diffuse it. And then I teach them to lean into fear and be okay with that. So, you know, and the course that I teach takes 12 weeks, you know, and it's cementing these practices that are going to help you get to that place. But we're not taught this stuff at school, are we? We're just kind of thrown into the deep end, and everything that we do is graded and marked. And if we fail, we're embarrassed because it's revealed to everybody else in the class. What did you get? What did you get? I got a C, I got an A, I got an F. You get home, your mum has a go at you, your dad has a go at you, whoever has a go at you, you feel a bit rubbish for failing. We're taught that failing is wrong. And we're not taught to lean into it. So that's why it feels scary doing it. And, you know, you need to be challenged by a coach or by someone, you know, an accountability partner.
And what I'm hearing is that really people of our walks of lives struggle with this. Students,
everybody,
you know, footballers, everyone. And
even older people who are like in their 80s, you know, you give them a new mobile phone straight away, they're struggling, right? And my mum, she's like, starts panicking. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's I can hear her. She's muted me by accident. She's going, Norman.
Right. Well, you know, I'm thinking about so many examples, but it will take an extra hour for that. But it's just really everyone could at one point in life struggle with this situation, and sometimes you know, maybe some situations are not that relevant, but but some situations can be harmful, can be a hindrance. They can keep you from moving forward in life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Traumas, right?
Right. And by the way, before I forget, if you whoever is watching us are struggling with this kind of situations, feel free, right, Michaela, to contact Michaela.
Absolutely.
That is what she does.
Yeah.
All of her contact information is in the description box. Michaela, would you like to add something
Absolutely.
to that?
Having been through PTSD, anxiety, insomnia myself, this is an area that I am more expertise in, and obviously I'm an actor as well, so it's a high stress job, putting yourself in front of people all the time. So yes, please do contact me. My name is Michaela Longdon on Instagram. Inbox me. My inbox is always open, and I'd love for you guys to get in touch. And I'll be launching my own YouTube channel very, very soon as well. So you'll see more of our things that me and Armando are doing. So yeah, please do, and write in the comments below about any questions you have about anything we're discussing on here today. We love hearing from you guys, and we're here for you. So yeah, make the most of that.
That's right. That's right. I mean, one of our goals through these videos is, just to cover relevant subjects that might help whoever is watching us, but hopefully at the same time encourage one or the other to take that step, right, Michaela? To seek out for help in case you are really struggling. And
it's mad, you don't realize, obviously I'm slightly biased because I am a coach and Armando's a coach, but I got a relationship coach because I was struggling in relationships. And that's something that I wasn't particularly aware of. I hadn't worked through that. I'd worked through like a lot of other stuff, self-limiting beliefs, sabotaging behavior, distractions, all the rest of it, but I hadn't worked through this. And within 4 or 5 weeks, I have found the partner who I'm now living with, and it's going really well, and he's amazing, and I can't imagine my life without him. Like, it's insane what this stuff can do. And now I've got a new coach, and I'm more motivated than ever because he's a business coach and he's a motivator, and I'm like, boom, 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 like the energy is just infiltrating. And they're worth every bloody penny. Like, anything that you can invest in that is going to change your mindset so that you can get from A to B is worth it.
Right. So be encouraged to seek out for help. Be encouraged to if our topics, we talk about different mindset topics every week. If something that we are saying resonates with you, get in touch with Michaela. Her information is on the description box.
And the thing is as well, even if you if you can't afford a coach, I mean, this is the reality, right? Like, not everybody can afford a coach. It's funny because I've had a lot of coaches say to me, oh, you always find the money, and I've always found the money, but that's because I know the benefit, because I've experienced it. But when you haven't taken that first step, then you don't know, and then it's leaning into that unknown, and it's that imposter syndrome and the fear all coming up again. But you can still do what you can do. So you can watch these YouTube videos, you can listen to podcasts, you can read books. Okay, your progress is going to be a little bit slower, but you can still make a difference in your life.
That's
right. So don't feel that just because you don't have the funds to get one-to-one coaching or get online coaching means that you can't still develop yourself in many other ways.
Yeah, that's very important what you said. I mean, we always can do something. That the reason we are coaches is because we believe having a coach, having a partner there with us is it's better and efficient, and
speeds it up. The progress is just
and it's one-on-one. It's just like this personalized attention to your very specific need. And so what we do here is because we want to help people through our talks, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully something will resonate with you and inspire you, like maybe to get that one book or the other one, or maybe ask questions. And we hope that you do send us your comments and your questions, because we will love to interact with you. as much as possible, right, Michaela?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I'm looking at the clock, and it's as always, time flies
Always.
by. But before we leave, Michaela, what piece of advice would you give our audience before in regard to imposters syndrome? Maybe one.
One piece of advice is that we all get it. Everybody gets it, and it's okay. And we should accept it. Do what you can to avoid those feelings coming up, but when they do come up, that's when you need to make sure you can regulate those emotions. And learning how to do that is fundamental if you're going to shift things. So that would be my advice, to accept it, lean into it, and then learn how to emotionally regulate when the feelings of anxiety, the fear creeps in, so that it doesn't sabotage you in the moment. But you feel okay with the fact that, okay, I don't feel okay right now, but that's okay.
Okay. Once again, we talked about last week about that awareness, to be aware.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And not judgmental on yourself.
Don't be too hard on yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Michaela. As always,
you're welcome.
Always a great material, great talking to you.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Oh, love it. I love it. Well, our time is up. Too bad our time is up, but we'll be back next week. To all of our viewers, please stay healthy. Send us your comment, and I guess I have nothing more to say, but to say have a successful and blessed day, a successful and blessed week.
What you said.
Have a great day.
Love it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome back to one more episode of Live Talk, and look who's here with us.
Hi guys.
I'm happy to see you, and are you excited too?
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, Michaela's contact information is in the description, and in this video's description. Get in touch with Michaela. Don't forget, people. Today is we didn't talk about our subject, so this is a surprise, even for you.
Yeah,
but I have something. I think this is a great and very. I'm thinking German again. But this is a very present, very
current.
Thank you very much. A very current topic, and we spoke about this a little bit a few weeks ago. So I want to talk with you about fear. But more specifically about one subcategory of fear. I want to talk to you about being alone and loneliness. Which they are not always the same thing, right? So, but because the reason I want to talk to you about this is because I've been doing some podcasts on that subject, and the feedback I'm getting is very, very, very interesting. In the light of everything that has happened over the last few years, the pandemic and the financial situation, the war, and so on and so forth, right? So people live in fear. I mean, a lot of people, even if they don't see it, you kind of you can sense it somehow in society. I mean, when you go around your way, you can almost sense it.
Feel it. Yeah, feel the energy. Yeah.
So, well, let's begin with that. Do you notice that?
I don't notice it day to day because I don't feel it day to day.
Okay.
I
mean, you personally, you mean?
I personally don't feel it. No. I see it when I spend time with people who I don't often see that much, who do feel it. So like my parents, So my mum, she, you know, I can tell that she's feeling it, my sister. But the people that I surround myself with don't tend to hold on to that fear so much and that energy. So I wouldn't say that it's something that I feel exposed to every single day.
Okay.
I limit the amount of the news that I watch, because I think that it can infiltrate your mind and your emotions, and have quite a negative response.
Absolutely.
So we have to be really mindful about what we consume, who we consume, and what we allow to affect us in that way, especially when we don't have any control over some of those things. But I do feel it in terms of like, so when I visit my mum worries. She's a big worrier. She always has been. She's always struggled with anxiety. My sister worries. She's got a baby on the way, you know. She's got financial concerns about what's happening. And then when, you know, if I do choose to put the news on or whatnot, and I see what's happening, like I went to an exhibition in Manchester recently, an art exhibition that talks about the war in Ukraine, and it was heartbreaking. Like, but for me, that is, I was looking at the paintings and the photos. It was a photography exhibition, and like my heart was breaking. It wasn't fear, it was heartache for me.
Yes.
When I was looking at all of that, because like I said, fear for me is something that it's not useful. Empathy is, but fear, especially, it's useful when you can do something to change things. But the problem is we can't necessarily do an awful lot to change what's happening sometimes, right? Like we can't stop the war. I can't like stop what's happening. I can't stop poverty. You know, there are big things, and if you allow the magnitude of these things and you know, the sheer sadness of it all to consume you, it will take up a lot of energy and a lot of space in your heart and your mind that does not serve you.
Right.
So whilst it's not advisable to be ignorant, it's also not advisable to allow the things in the world to generate a truly negative response in you that affects your day-to-day mood, because you have to be mindful of yourself as well, and the people that you touch in your life. You know, you have to be the best person that you can be for yourself and for them, for the people you love and the people that you come into contact with. And if we spread peace and joy and happiness, then we'll get more of that. And unfortunately, the news, well, bad news sells, right?
Right.
You know, we live in a world where if the newspapers are going to sell papers, if the media is going to sell, you know, time on TV, then it's usually going to be filled with stuff that makes us scared, because that's what sells.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's, I guess that's a point where, I mean, I myself struggle in finding the right balance, right? And because I mean, I notice a difference. You know, if I don't watch the news for maybe like a couple of days, you know, I mean, I notice the effect that has in my mental health, right? So, but then, of course, you know, playing the devil's advocate is like, okay, well, I mean, there are a lot of things that we cannot fix, but ignoring that, you know, is that helpful? So that is the battle, you know, and of course, I mean, everyone has to decide for themselves.
I don't think we should ignore it, you know, hence why I've gone to the exhibition, and I am, you know, actively learning about it when I choose to. But forcing myself to listen to it day in, day out, on the news, every morning you switch on the TV, in your car you listen to the radio, the effects on that for me is just too detrimental, and then I can't serve, and I can't help the people that I want to help, and I can't be the person that I want to be, to serve as well as I can, and to serve the community and serve the people I love and serve myself, because it's like what you said, it's a balance. We have to be aware and we have to educate ourselves, because we are only going to avoid making the same mistake if we learn from our current mistakes, right?
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, we do not want to get consumed in it, and it becomes addictive. Like my mum, she was watching the news all the time in lockdown, and during COVID, and it was putting her into like so much fear, and she was getting poorly, and her partner was getting poorly, and they, it was affecting their health. And I just turned to them and I said, you need to stop watching the news. That you have to, because they're in 24/7. They're retired, like they're watching the news 24/7.
And watching the news is a favorite pastime in our day.
Absolutely. We're all nosy by nature, right?
Why I began to talk about mental health issues in my podcast, and I recently started. That's something that I would like to talk to you later on. But I recently started a podcast, an audio podcast, not a video podcast, but an audio podcast, and I'm focusing on mental health issues. And I think the lockdowns were a springboard or a magnifier for a lot of things that were happening, and maybe you remember some of our talks off camera. Some things that were happening here in Germany. They were not funny at all. Like right now, like a very current situation is the media are talking about, well, we made mistakes. Let us just forget about it. Like, well, lives were destroyed. The kids were. My kids were affected. My life was affected. People lost jobs, people lost businesses, people were persecuted really in the media, and I'm talking about Germany. I don't know, just like my surroundings. So like that has a big effect on people that otherwise didn't have the chance to defend themselves, because they saw themselves as persecuted, bombarded, from the government and the media. And even, families were divided and things like that. So that had a huge effect. And I guess that's what I was focusing on. They're like, okay, now there's a lot of people that have those scars, who can I trust? Am I alone? And I lost my business already. I don't, like right now, people, I don't know how is the energy situation in England, but for example, here there are businesses that they survived the First World War, businesses that survived that Second World War, but they are not able to survive this last year because of the so like
absolutely. There is a massive global financial strain right now, so that is something that everyone is feeling, especially with the increases in energy prices, fuel prices. It's a huge weight on people's shoulders. But I guess my way of thinking about it again is that, well, everything that's been thrown at us, I know this is new, but we always get new things thrown at us. We've got through it. So you just have to kind of think, well, trust myself that I'll get through it again, and
that's correct.
Things will be okay. But it is obviously again on people's minds, quite rightly so. Of course it's going to be, especially when you've got bills to pay, mortgages to pay, family to feed, of course. And it does come into my mind as well. And it's in these moments though, these hard times are really crucial as to whether we have the mindset where we get overwhelmed and we sink, or whether we grow and whether we find a way to flourish. And we do live in an abundant world where there is opportunity available everywhere. And I've certainly believed that. It's just very hard to see that light when you are a seed in the ground. Do you know, when you're under the ground and you're swallowed up by darkness, to see that glimpse of light is really hard. So my advice is always to move towards the glimpse of light.
Correct. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about that, because that's the situation. We describe the situation, the way things are, and what we choose to do with that is another thing. And what I'm trying to get to, let me get this out of the way, is things that we can do in order to move in a positive way forward. And I believe the first thing that we need to do today, and I want to hear your take on that, is community. To be part of a healthy, good community, whether that is family, neighbors, friends, colleagues, whatever, that can help us go through this situation. I think that is vital, because being alone, it will kill us. It will kill us mentally, and it will kill us physically too. I mean, there is a lot of things that stress puts into motion in our bodies, sickness and whatnot. What do you think?
Well, I 100% agree with you. I think that the little things in life are the things that really matter, and that if we can hold each other's hand, we can get each other through the storm. You look at countries in Asia, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, they don't, the people who live there are so bright, so energetic. Like Colombia, I visited Colombia, beautiful people there, and they don't have a lot. They don't have much,
But they have each other, right?
Each other, and they have a community,
right?
And you can see it and you can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're all holding each other's hand, and you kind of got this. You just see it. You just watch them, and you're like, you have got this mindset that you're all in this together, and we'll just get through it.
But you had to go through it, right?
Yeah, and
I mean, I like
the UK. It just, and I don't know about Germany, it doesn't feel like we're as close knit. The community is as close knit as that. It's very segregated into your little families, isn't it?
Yeah. It is like that.
We don't have, I suppose, the church. I'm not particularly I am spiritual, and I would say that I do have some religious value. I have a lot of religious values, but I don't follow a particular religion. But religion used to do that, didn't it? It did used to bring people together, and I know that that's not something in the UK that is huge now. But there is a move towards spirituality, and there are communities that are getting together and like working on mental health, cold water dipping, going to yoga, practicing mindfulness. There are lots of that, which I always say is like, it's so useful to get in with those types of people who are like actively trying to work on their mindset and through this really tough time.
It is really true. Finding people, like-minded people, that is one thing. And then you're talking about the other, for example, the groups that we belong to. I think of course there are different type of groups, like your colleagues, or maybe like you said, groups that get together to do sport, or to meditate, or go for a walk, or play games, whatever, or pray, go to church, and things like that. I think being alone, I mean, things are bad as they are, but if we are alone, it will be even worse. It will kill us, right? So what will be your advice? I mean, to find a community. What will you tell people if they are feeling lonely and alone in the midst of these times?
It's a difficult one, because every individual is different,
right,
in their approach to this.
Right.
I remember my mum, she was caught up in the snow in winter.
Yeah.
And she ended up walking home from work because she couldn't, the buses weren't running. So she was walking and she saw this light, and she was like, oh my God, what is that place? She was like, it was like an angel, and it was the church. We're going back on religion here. Not my intention, honestly. Right. And she walked into it, and she created a community from there. And from then on, she was going to that church every single week, and she met her now lifelong partner there, and they got married and stuff, which is a really, really beautiful story. But it came from her just walking towards it, So I guess you've got to see the opportunity that presents itself before you can walk towards it. So I suppose my advice would be open your eyes to who and what is around you that may be able to help you, that may be able to serve you in a way.
Beautiful.
And if you see something that you're like, oh, that could help me, follow it.
Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Michaela. Too bad that our time is up, but we had to say goodbye for today, but we'll be back hopefully next week.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Until then, we wish you all a successful and blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a very special day. As you can see on the screen, Michaela is back. It's so good to see you, Michaela. It's been so long.
How long has it been?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think close to a year at least.
It has been a while.
It's been a while.
I booked in a call, but then I had to change it because a job came through.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As they do.
Yeah. Yeah, many of you probably don't know, but if you go back, if you go to my channel and go back, you will find a lot of videos. We used to have a weekly podcast, and for a long time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good memories.
It was great. Memories. It was great just to chat, to be fair.
Yeah.
Get some inspired action from you.
Yeah. Well, it was great. And I hope our audience, I think they got some good value from our chats, and hopefully we added value to their lives and inspiration. And how you been doing?
Yeah, I've been good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah. For all of you that might do not know who Michaela is, she's an actress, very talented, beautiful, as you of course can see. She's an author. She's going to tell us about that. She's been in the coaching business in the mindset coaching business, and so many ideas, like a ball of fire. I was, bursting with ideas.
And that's just the hair.
Not just the hair. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, it's been busy. It has been busy. It's been good. Been enjoyable. Obviously, the last couple of months has been focused on the release of the book, which is exciting and scary. So there's been a lot of work going into making sure that it's not rubbish.
Right.
And I can confirm, I think it's pretty good. It's
quality stuff. It's quality stuff. Okay.
Yeah. There's always that fear. And I think when I was writing it, because it's taken 5 years, and then the last 2 years I've updated it significantly, because I started writing it when I became a coach. Began my coaching journey, and it's a half acting book, acting technique book, and half mindset book for actors. And obviously the last couple of years, my knowledge has just grown significantly. So I've wanted to implement that as well. For the last 2 years, it's been a huge editing process and getting the book to where I need it to be, but knowing that it's never going to be perfect. And maybe I need to, write another one with all the knowledge that I'm learning now. There's one thing you don't think about when you write a book. You're like, I'll just write everything I know and that'll be that. But the process takes so long, and the editing process takes so long, that by the time you've finished it, you're like, oh, but I wanted to add this and I wanted to add that, and there's this and there's that. But you've just got to let it breathe. So I let it breathe for a couple of months, and then I read it fresh. And I enjoyed it myself. So that's a good sign, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
And hopefully other people enjoy it. It is obviously very niche. It is for actors. You can read it as a non-actor. Anyone who wants to be an actor or gain confidence or know how to break down a script, absolutely.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's been an exciting journey, but also very scary. I'll show it you actually. So this is I spoke to my own coach about how I should do the front cover.
The Actor's Guide to Success. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's about creating, a lot of actors really struggle with with their mental health because of the rejection.
Mm.
There's lots into that I won't go into now, but this book is supposed to help you create a successful career. And I don't mean a successful career in just doing your best to get the job. Absolutely, the technique side is for that, but to be happy and to feel content in your acting career, even when it's quiet and even when there's nothing happening, which can be really, really difficult, as you can imagine, for anyone, because you always want your career to kind of go up. And sometimes in acting, that's just not the case. It might be, you know, deathly quiet for a long period of time, and then you'll get 5 jobs at once. So you have to have the mental resilience and the capacity to be able to deal with that and manage that.
Man, don't let me forget that last part you mentioned, because it's so important. And hearing that from the perspective of an actress like yourself, it's so interesting and so powerful because of all of those elements that you just mentioned. But I'm going to, for our audience, I'm going to leave the ESPN number in the description box. So if you are interested in purchasing the book in your favorite bookstore or online as well, I assume, Michaela, right?
Yeah. So it's on Amazon, and you should be, I've made some edits. It's come down from Waterstones. It was on Waterstones, but it'll be going back up on Waterstones and other bookstores as well. Once the edits have been accepted.
Right. So I'm going to leave that information in the description box, as well, of course, as Michaela's social media accounts, so you can follow her, her Instagram. What else? You're mainly on Instagram, right, Michaela?
Yeah, so I've got 3 different Instagrams actually.
Oh my God.
I know, right? It's a bit busy. So I host actor workshops and mindset workshops. I'm obviously a mindset coach as well, which is probably, I would say, my main job at the moment. So I help people with their self-esteem, etc., or business needs or whatnot. And then I've got my kind of more personal one, which is like more my acting stuff, but I'll post like other stuff on there as well, mindset stuff. So it's kind of a mixed bag of all 3. So yeah, Michaela Longden, just whack that into Instagram and you'll find me, I'm sure.
There we go. So I'm going to include those links in the description box as well. If my audience is too lazy to look for you, I'm just like, it's there.
We're all guilty of that. We all just want the button. We all just want the button. You know what I mean? Life is made to be easy. We got Uber Eats and Deliveroo. You know, I can order shopping to me door. I can order a top to me door. Amazon, I'll order it now. It'll come by 9 p.m. Do you know what I mean? This is the life, no judgment. This is the life that we have been accustomed to for some time. So
yeah, that's right. Michaela, I told you before we got online, it was like very last minute because I forgot to tell you last time. We have a new tradition in my podcast.
Yeah.
And you got yours there?
I have got it. It hasn't got my coffee in because this has got my coffee in, which is a very amazing mug that I enjoy, but it's not my favorite mug.
All right. But your favorite mug is? There we go.
This one.
Get a little closer to the screen, please, to the camera. All right. Oh, family pictures, I assume?
Yeah, these my sisters and my nieces and my nephews. I think sometimes you can get so I have in the past got so driven by extrinsic motivations that I've forgotten the people who intrinsically matter the most, and haven't given them enough time and effort. And that's something that I'm working towards at the moment. And I love this mug. My sisters got me this mug, and when I received it, I loved it because normally they get me something silly like some socks with faces on, and I'm like, well, I don't really wear those socks because they don't go with anything. But a mug I'll use every day, and I am reminded daily of these beautiful humans that are in my life. So yeah, I love this mug.
Awesome. Beautiful story.
It's a problem though, isn't it? Because it gets to the point where you're scared to use it in case you drop it. Yeah. So I often don't choose this mug, even though I should.
So you cherish it. You cherish it. Huh?
Yeah. Right. But the mentality behind that, it's like the bloody china plates, isn't it, that you don't use? I don't have any china plates, to be honest, but
my mom has a few, you know, I very special, and she doesn't use them. Like, no, they are there in case I need it someday. Well, they are just like gathering dust. We're gonna use them.
Honestly, it's ridiculous, really. I don't know why we do this. We like savor things, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
I do it with my food as well. Like I'll save the best thing to last,
Mm.
which I'm not sure is like the best way to do it, because you get to the end and you're a little bit full.
Yeah. Now we are philosophizing. You're giving me things to think about, Michaela.
Always the way,
Well,
always the way. But there's different. It's funny actually. I'll delve into this a little bit further, because some working with certain clients, I've noticed that the way people eat their dinner can reflect delayed gratification.
oh, I like that.
Which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So some people who struggle with delayed gratification and are instant pleasure seekers will eat the best bits first in case they fill up, and won't eat the vegetables or the things that are good for you, which I absolutely love vegetables, to be honest. So they might start with the carbs or whatever. And people who are better at delayed gratification will often wait for the best, the part of the meal that they find the best until the end.
Interesting. Huh? It's interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Man, so many topics to talk about. Man. You're bringing back memories, Michaela, man. Well, cheers. I mean, this is my favorite mug. Well, this is not my favorite mug, but this is my podcast mug. The one that it's my fun mug, and here it's in German. I've written the Gute Laune Tasse. So the what is a Gute Laune Tasse? I'm gonna put it in translation. I'm thinking in English right now. What is a Gute Laune Tasse? It's like my good mood mug. My good mood mug.
I love that. Well,
there you go.
I suppose this is my good mood mug as well.
Yeah. Mine doesn't have that significance that yours has, but cheers anyway.
I'm wondering, actually, do you have any hints and tips for creating a good mood? I know this is and we're going, I don't know where we're going, but we always just go somewhere, don't we? So we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it.
Yeah, we'll roll with it. Right?
I'm wondering, like, I have a few clients that often say, I wake up in a funk, and we're all guilty of waking up in a bit of a funk. And I was listening to a podcast today, and one of the guys on there was basically saying that he just throws himself into some cold water, which I highly recommend. When I was in Finland, I was doing that every morning. That is one way to change your state, and it'll happen very, very quickly. But I don't have a bucket of cold water anywhere. So for those of us that don't have an ice bath, what would you say are your tips in order to kind of get yourself out of a funk?
This is what I do. We talked about this before in the past, but one of the things, I don't have a ice bath either, but one thing that I do is when I take a shower, at the end of the shower, I usually shower with some lukewarm, comfortable, nice water, right? But at the end, I will turn it down the temperature, and will at the very end just like stay there for like 40 to 60 seconds. Just like nice. Catching the breath and invigorating myself, and after that I'm like, wow, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to run a marathon. It's amazing.
What about those days where you might not have a shower? What if you can't access a shower? What would you do then?
Well, this is the other thing I do. I have several breathing exercises. And breathing exercises, and I work with some of my clients, practicing some tiny habit breathing exercises, and they work amazing for me. There is a lot of science behind it, but I just feel light. I just feel relaxed. I feel like that easy, peaceful, nothing can bother me type of relax. Not like sleepy relax, but like serene, content type of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can manipulate the breath to do that. I was listening to another podcast, and she was saying, you don't need to have a coffee, you can have a run and it'll achieve the same thing. And it's that whole thing of like, if you need to de-stress and feel more serene, then you need to exhale longer than the inhale. And if you need to do the opposite, you know, you need like some motivation or some adrenaline, or you feel a little bit fatigued, then you need to inhale longer than the exhale.
You know what? You just remind me something. This is not. I'm not. I don't get any commission or anything like that. But I'm reading this book right now, The Willpower Instinct, and one of the premises, how self-control works, why it matters, and what you can do to get motivated. I like the book, and one of the premises is that control stress is also good.
Yeah.
So for a long time we hear that we have to avoid the stress, but it seems that like a certain amount of stress is actually healthy.
It is, yeah.
because of the training in what causes it in you if you are in control, and good breathing exercises can produce that. Because of that, for example, there are several exercises. You mentioned one right now, and but that holding and breathing and concentrating and getting that under control, that's like a sort of stress that you're putting yourself through. But when you go through, you have that sense of you conquer something, your hormone, the endorphins are flowing, and so on and so forth. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I certainly use. It helps, makes you feel a bit more resilient. I remember I went to a breath class once, and a similar thing, I think I said it wrong before. It's your exhale needs to be longer than your inhale to relax you, and your inhale needs to be longer than your exhale, I think, I can't quite remember at the top of my head. I think it's that. Right. But I went to a breath workshop once, and they were getting me to do these like really through my nose, very quick breaths, and it almost felt like I was going to have a panic attack. And it was just being able to sit in that, know that I was okay, and remind myself that I was okay. I felt afterwards was really quite distressing.
Yeah.
But after I'd done it, it did feel okay. So I'm guessing the point of that is to know that you are okay, and whilst the body is experiencing something that feels really uncomfortable, the mind is calm, and that's the process, isn't it? But it can feel awfully it's stressful at the time.
That's right. Well, I guess that's part of the whole process, So kiddos at home, don't try it behind the wheel or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, don't.
That's very so one that I do that I liked a lot is like I do like breathing in and out several times. And then at the last moment, I would like let everything go and don't breathe in again. Just sitting, just like right now, in my favorite place or whatever, and then I let go, and I try to concentrate on my hands or my nose, like you said, and just or think about something that is in at that moment like a happy thought or a Bible verse or I don't know, your family, whatever. And or a situation that you're working through, right? Think about that. And then hold it, and you are under stress, but hold it anyways. And then when you feel appropriate, this is what I experience, when the time comes, I just like breathe in again and then begin to regulate my breath, and like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing.
That's great. I'm going to try that.
Yeah,
I've never I've taken time to think about situations and whatnot and journal and write them down, but I've never breathed out and then held it and thought about, either tried to get my mind blank or really thought about something pressing that needs my attention at the minute. I wonder what answers will come from that. Write that down.
Try it. I mean, I like it because I guess what it causes in me, what it causes in me is that because I'm under stress, so somehow I realize how hey, things are under control. Things are don't exaggerate, don't go overboard, just like take it easy. Everything is under control. Everything happens for a reason, and so on and so forth. So it kind of like levels me down a little, like
gives you that level of perspective.
Yeah, type of thing.
Yeah,
don't be panicking and things like that, right?
I think we're all guilty of that sometimes, aren't we? Going to like worst case scenario and catastrophizing because we're animals, and as animals, we're trying to protect ourselves from death at any cost, and the fear response is very active within us. So sometimes, in order to prepare, we're thinking of everything that could potentially go wrong, even if it's only like really small 1% chance of that ever even happening, sometimes less, maybe it's a 0.1% chance. We're still considering it. And then it's what gets us into kind of like this, state where we feel like we can't function,
right?
Can't think straight.
Yeah. You're very big into that. I mean, as a mindset coach, I remember talking to you about that. And going back to something you said when you were talking about your book, how does an actor goes through those times? You mentioned times when the calls are not coming in, the auditions are not working in your favor. Sometimes you have to make ends meet, as you are waiting, and so on and so forth. I don't really know what you go through during those times.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But I assume you really have to work at your mindset, to be able to you kind of like know, okay, my chance is coming, but the waiting, that in between. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh God, it's such a huge topic. I think most actors actually don't work on their mindset. They go to, if they're not getting the job, they go to, I'm not good enough. That's why I'm not getting the job, which is simply not true. Because maybe their technique isn't up to standard, who knows? But usually that's not the case. If you've been called in for an audition, they've seen something in you and they've watched your show reel and they think you fit the bill. Normally it's because you don't look right, chemistry isn't great with another character, maybe you look too similar to another character, location, budget, it could be a range of things that are simply out of your control, and you just you can't pin it on that. But most actors do, and I think they neglect their mindset, which is why I wrote the book in the first place.
Right.
And there's different facets to this, because you have to develop a good mindset so that you know innately that you are good enough. So that means, making sure your technique's great, but also deep down, your ability isn't validated by the fact that you got a job. That's what you have to remove. And that's difficult because we're in a society that you get rewarded when you've got the grade or when you get the promotion. So to get the, I suppose, the interview and then not get the job, for any actor, that feels like I'm not good enough and I've done something wrong, and you get a hit. So you have to kind of work on that. And then you also have to, I would suggest that actors work on creating something sustainable financially outside of acting that they enjoy. Because when you're experiencing financial hardship and you're not moving forward in that, and you're not moving forward in your career, then it all starts to feel a little bit, it's like, well, I'm not buying a house, and I'm not financially stable, and your bloody parasympathetic nervous system is so activated at this point because you feel so unsafe and you're not getting the job. So I would always encourage actors to look for something outside of acting that brings them an earning. Many people will say, oh, well, then I don't believe it's going to happen. No. What it does is it means that you can live in this industry for 20, 30 years. No, it's going to happen. You can say, I know it's going to happen, but I know that I need to survive it right now. And in order to survive, in order to feel like I'm moving in some way, maybe I need a job or something else that brings me money, that makes me feel significant, that makes me feel like I'm contributing, that makes me feel empowered, alongside that's also going to get me the results that I want in the other areas of my life, in terms of having a family, buying a house, going on the holidays, enjoy. There are other things outside of acting, and that would be my third thing as well is you've got to really remember what matters and what's at the heart of life: connection, contribution, love. And so many actors get so fixated on their acting career and it being unsuccessful and the rejection and the silence,
comparing yourself with others, right?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Comparisons. And they forget that is just your career, and that's what it is. It's just one little strain of the things that make us happy as humans. And we have to look at all of the others as well. And then obviously it's knowing, like, challenging the narratives. And this is what I say to a lot of my mindset clients as well. We all have narratives that we're telling ourselves. We all make generalizations. We all distort things. And it's about challenging those thought processes when they come up. So by doing that, you've got to create a sense of self-awareness. You've got to be aware of those thoughts when they come up. That means you've got to be present. So you can't be stuck in that parasympathetic nervous system where you don't really know what you're thinking and you're just reacting instead of acting in accordance to something a little bit more logical and thought out. So there's so many different facets to it. And it's not a quick fix. And one of the programs that I sell is like a 6-month course for actors. And it's an acting course. But we do all mindset, and it's mad because at the start they send me self-tapes. We do like maybe 5 minutes a week on their actual technique. And at the end, in 6 months' time, their acting has transformed because all of a sudden they're doing it for themselves. They're not people pleasing. They're not trying to get, they're free, they're instinctual, they're impulsive. And that's because they have healed this part inside of them that needed some attention. And all of a sudden it creates just beautiful, memorable performances because they're no longer hiding or trying to be a particular person to fit a certain role. They're just being themselves. And that means when you watch them, you're like intrigued and you're invited in, and it creates vulnerability and a sense of warmth. And they're always shocked because they do the course, and at the 6 months, they're like, wow, like I was sending you self-tapes and you were giving me feedback, but we spent 55 minutes on the call, sometimes an hour on the call, just talking about limiting beliefs, self-esteem, confidence, motivation, and all the other areas that most actors don't think of. And you definitely don't get those things in drama school, and you definitely don't get them in an acting class unless you come to mine.
Oh my gosh. I just got motivated just listening to you this 5 minutes. My goodness, like I feel like I'm like 5 inches taller now. Well, this is so beautiful because like you mentioned before, you're talking about like these niche actors, but I believe that some of the principles you're talking about apply to really everyone: CEOs, people in leadership of any kind, family, and so on and so forth. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't just work with actors. I would say half of my clients are actors, half of them are small business owners, CEOs, people who are very high up, who you would assume in the UK, we assume people don't need mindset coaches or life coaches. But it has been proven that those who have a higher EQ are more successful than those who have a higher IQ. So you'll find that people who have got their own businesses, maybe they are on the hamster wheel doing a lot of things to keep them busy, but the things that they're doing are not actually moving their business forward. And, I had one client who was really worried. She had social anxiety. So she struggled to like be in spaces with lots of people, and she struggled to reach out to people and tell people about her business, even though her business was doing really well. She'd done so well. Now, oh my God, she is creating content. She sent loads of emails to various different places that did end up hiring her. She was in rooms with like hundreds of people selling her stuff. Like, her income was massively impacted just by her releasing this avoidance behavior that she had towards other people.
Right.
And it's the same with another client that I'm working with at the moment, who is about to set up her own business, and she is wanting to create leadership skills. She's got all of the knowledge to create a thriving business. She's been the CEO of a different company doing a similar thing, and she's smashing it. And now it's just a case of her being aware of her own behaviors and how they impact others and how she can create connections and communicate with people to create really positive and strong results in the workplace. And I think a lot of us, I know that when I was working in a corporate setting, felt that our bosses and the people above us just saw us as a number. And that does not that does not invite people to be motivated. It does not inspire, it does not encourage, because you don't feel like they care. So there has to be an element of that, but obviously you've got to make sure you've got boundaries with that as well, because you don't want to, you know, it's but yeah, exactly, all of these things that I'm talking about, everybody, no matter what your job is, even if your job is a full-time mum, having the emotional intelligence. Like another one of my clients was saying that she doesn't like shouting at her kids. She's like, I judge myself for shouting at my kids. And I was like, okay, well, what do you need to do in those moments to avoid shouting and to speak to your children? How else can we look at this? What do you need to inside of you calm down? And I gave her a tip. I said, recently what I've been doing with my partner is if I feel myself getting triggered or however you want to call it, you know, some part of me,
ready to go,
part of me, like, and that's what it is, isn't it? It's that part of you inside of you that's insecure and feels like it's been attacked. And when you feel that, your defenses go up. And what I've started saying to him is, okay, what you've just said has really affected me, and the blood is going into my hands, and I can feel it, my heart's starting to race, and I feel really uncomfortable at what you've just said right now. And it's making me feel a little bit angry, but I'm just going to tell you about what I'm feeling, because I don't want to give you a response where I'm triggered. And the impact on that is insane, because no one ever says that. No one ever says, okay.
So you de-escalate the situation right away, right?
Yeah, because all of a sudden the person before you is going, okay, well, I don't want your heart to be racing and that blood pumping in your hands. Let's get that back in your head.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. Michaela, I mean, the time is almost up, but I know you have a meeting in a short while, and I want to use the last minutes to land this talk. I could talk to you like for hours, just like always, like we did before. So I appreciate that time.
We'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll do another one. But once again, for our audience, Michaela's book information in the description box, as well as her contact information in case you are interested in her coaching services. You get in touch with her, follow her, and I do follow her on Instagram, and it's always encouraging to see the reels and things that she posts there. And but Michaela, before we leave, talk to us about this scholarship. We were talking off camera, and I think that's beautiful. And I know your heart a little bit, because we know each other for how long is that? It's been 3 years.
2 years now. Good few years, yeah.
2-3 years,
right? I think it's longer than that.
I think so.
I think it's about 4 years.
Yeah. Well, we don't remember, so that's a good sign, I guess, right? So we've been talking about these topics and many others off camera, in front of the camera, and so on. But so I think it's beautiful when I saw your reel, the story on Instagram today. It's like, oh my gosh, that's Michaela. I like it. I love it. So tell us about that, please.
Yeah. So I know that mindset coaching is expensive. And the work that I do with my clients, as I said, it's 6 months that I work with them, and there's homework, and they get a huge email after every session. It's very intense. And with that, there's a cost attached to it, and that cost is there to encourage them to take action. And also it needs to pay my bill, let's face it, and I've got years and years of experience in this. So if we're going to work together and I'm going to change your life, which happens every single time for the positive, then there needs to be a cost attached to that. But I am so aware, coming from the background that I come from, we're very working class, we had no money growing up, and I know that I struggled for a long time to hire my own coach, and I needed one. I did ultimately get there, which was great, but it took a lot, and I want to be able to create. The scholarship is designed to creates an opportunity for someone who wouldn't otherwise be able to pay
Mhm.
for mindset coaching the amount that it is. So
Mhm.
it's a reduced fee, a significantly reduced fee.
Okay.
So there is some cost attached because
Right.
there has to be.
It has to be.
But mainly because I want them to show up and do the work, to be honest. Like, and if there's a cost attached, if you're paying for something, there is evidence about
That's
how
right.
much work you put in with that. So it will be an application process. So anyone from low income or who is struggling financially can apply for spots, and I'm going to release one spot every 6 months. And that's
All
the
right.
way that it'll roll. So yeah.
So how do they apply to
So if you can contact me either direct on Instagram, or you can send me an email or whatever, that's absolutely fine. Just contact me. And once I've got a list of potential applicants, I will send a application out for people to apply, and I will basically give it to the person that I think needs it the most and
Mhm.
is proved in the application that they're going to put in the work.
Yeah, okay. So the filter application, that's yours. I mean, you decide, and one, how many? One.
One, yeah.
One
But
per.
obviously, like in 6 months' time, you could apply again. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's beautiful. So people, this is your chance if you want to be coached by Michaela in mindset. I can only recommend her. I know her for a while. We haven't been in touch lately, but we talked a little bit ago off camera, and I love, and I'm so happy for you, Michaela, that your business is booming. And I know your life is also glowing and flowing. You're on the flow, you're in the zone right now. So I'm so happy for you, and happy to hear that you are doing this for one happy applicant. So I love it. Thank you very much. Well, before we leave, Michaela, I'm gonna, as usual, I'm gonna give you the last word. If you have one word of encouragement for our audience, what would that be?
Oh, one word of encouragement. I mean, that's difficult, Armando, because I think it's different for every single person.
Mm-hmm.
So my words is freedom.
Okay.
That's what it's all about. Freedom to spend time with my family, freedom to make memories, freedom to have experiences, freedom. Yeah, freedom for me is my motivating word. But I think my advice would be to your listeners is to find what yours is. What's your reason why? Why are you here? Why are you living? What's important to you? And then create your own word from that.
Love it. Thank you very much, Michaela. It was great talking to you. It was great seeing you again, and I wish you all the best. And hopefully we'll repeat it again. Hopefully we won't have to wait. I don't know how long. It was a long time. But
it was a long time.
It was a long time. Well, and to our audience, until the next time, I wish you all a successful and blessed day. Have a good one.
Have a beautiful day. See you later.
Bye.